witness the world slowly dying. Why don't you open your eyes? Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Why don't you go heed the signs? Go heed the signs. Go heed the signs. Temperatures rising more than we can bear. Fossil fuels burn, shouldn't we care? Carbon emissions increase, it's harder to breathe while government reads. Why don't you open your eyes, open your mind and read all the signs? Will we wait for our plants to die? Will we wait for our waters to dry before we make a stand and fight hand in hand? So let us rise up for climate justice now. Let us fight for a right, for a brighter today. So let us rise up, nothing can stop us now. Heads up, take a stand, let us lead the way to change climate change. Wake up and realize there is no planet B. How about we stop, think about our society? Why don't we go start a change, save the world if it's strange, for our future's sake? Let us start it today, no room for delay. You know there's a way. We will rise up for climate justice now. We will fight for a right, for a brighter today. We will rise up, nothing can stop us now. Hands up, take a step, let us lead the way to change climate change. It's time to take our chance and start a revolution. It's time to build a home for next generation. Stand for the oppressed, fight.
Good evening, everyone. We will be starting our program in 5 minutes. Again, we will be starting our program in 5 minutes. Good evening.
We'll make a legacy. Yeah. We will rise up for climate justice now. Oh, we will fight for right, for brighter today. We will rise up, nothing
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, climate classmates. Welcome to our webinar titled Climate and the Wider World, organized by Worldwide Teach-In for Climate and Justice and the International Studies Society from Miriam College. All right, we are very happy to have you all here. I've been seeing familiar names and faces here tonight. So let me ask you first, how are we feeling tonight? Is everyone doing good? Can you please respond by choosing an emoji from our reaction panel or using our chat box to show how you feel tonight? Oh, I'm seeing a lot of hearts. Meron ding okay. So it's good that you're okay. All right. Now, before anything else, please let me introduce myself. I'm Elec Benaventura. I'm one of the co-leads for Worldwide Teach-In for Climate and Justice Philippines. I was a graduate of University of the Philippines, Baguio, with a degree in social sciences, specializing in economics and political science, and currently taking up my master in UP OU, Master in ASEAN Studies, and I'm also an incoming cohort of Bard College, New York, under the Center for Environmental Policy with a degree Master of Science in Climate Science and Policy. Nonetheless, for tonight, I will be your host and one of your speakers. In this webinar, we will be talking about the intersectionality of climate change with international relations, as well as other ideas and thoughts revolving around it. Before we officially start our discussions, let us listen to Dr. Ivan Goodstein. He is the Director of BARD Graduate Programs in Sustainability and the Co-Director for Worldwide Teach-In for Climate and Justice.
Hello, my name is Ivan Goodstein, and I'm an economist, and I direct the graduate programs in sustainability at Bard College in New York. I'm also co-director of the Worldwide Teach-In on Climate and Justice, and I am here to welcome you to the Philippines version of the Worldwide Teach-In. This is a conversation that tens of thousands of students and young people around the world are having, over 250 colleges, universities, high schools. And I want to put out a particular thank you to the group of organizers in the Philippines who have put together such a terrific program at so many places across your country. And the conversation, or the purpose of the teach-in, is really to help us focus on the work of climate repair. Climate repair. Right? Many of us around the world have actually been in a state of climate despair, a state of depression about climate change, because we know the world is getting hotter every year. Every year it's getting hotter. And we know that that is bringing more intense typhoons, rising sea levels, droughts, crop failures, intense and massive global forest fires, and millions and millions and millions potentially of climate refugees. And one emotion is to just withdraw from that because it seems so inevitable and so overwhelming, and that it's just baked into our future. But really, that is the biggest threat to our future, is that each one of us withdrawing and thinking somehow that someone else is going to be responsible for solving this problem. Because the focus of the teaching conversations really is about this work of climate repair and how all of us, millions of us around the world, can engage in that work. We can do that in our personal lives, in the energy choices we make, the transportation choices we make, the consumption choices we make. We can do that in our professional lives. And I think many of you are going to be working on this project of climate repair in the work you get paid to do for the next 5, 10, 15, 40, 60 years, right? As writers and business people, artists and architects, lawyers, scientists, engineers, Many of you will be working on building a more climate stable and prosperous and just future. And then finally, there's our personal lives, there's our professional lives, and then there's our political lives, right? The people we are in our communities, and the political leaders that we are supporting to make this a priority. So in all of those realms, we want to be talking about ways today that we can be engaged in this good work, this great work of our generations around climate repair. And ultimately, it's all about justice, right? It's creating the kind of world that we desire and imagine for our own children and grandchildren, but for everyone on the planet. So thank you very much for having these conversations and for committing to do this work going forwards. And we will be back in 2024. And so we would like to see in the Philippines twice as many universities and high schools and other organizations holding teach-ins, twice as many people engaged in this really important conversation, because that is the way that we are going to prepare the climate and build a just and sustainable future. Have a fabulous day.
All right. So as Dr. Iban mentioned or emphasized, climate discussions like this is a great way to sophisticate or to educate the minds of people and awaken climate consciousness, and for us to encourage climate action. Well, at this point, let us proceed. I will lay down the importance of talking about climate topics and discussing them through international relations. So as I have mentioned, this is co-sponsored in partnership with International Studies Society. So our main topic is climate change, and of course, under this study of international. All right. Okay. Ask ko lang, can you see my screen already? Participants, can you please respond?
Yes po.
All right, thank you very much. So the title of my piece would be Climate and the Wider World. So it's the same title of the event, right? Turning climate despair to climate action. And again, I will discuss the intersectionality of climate and international relations. So the first question is, why do we need to talk about climate and the ideas revolving around it? Okay. First mistake or first strong connotation that we have is that when we talk about climate change, it's only about climate change, the phenomenon of climate change. But it's actually more than that. Now, when we talk about climate change, marami tayong aspects and ideas nakasama dyan, tulad ng climate justice, climate action, climate emergency. And we do not just talk about climate here under the idea of environmentalism. Although that is, of course, yun yung main core ng climate change is environmentalism. But beyond that certain science, okay, marami tayong pwedeng pag-usapan sa climate. Okay, when we talk about climate. And the question is, why do we need to talk about them? Right? So, first point is that, well, because climate change is real. Okay, so kilala nyo ba si Peter Kalmus? I believe some of here, I already introduced them to Peter Kalmus. Peter Kalmus ay isang NASA scientist, climate scientist siya. He was famous, or he became famous for being arrested and imprisoned for a certain time kasi nag-protest siya against the JP Morgan Chase Bank na number one investor for fossil fuel companies. So mas madaling sabi, dahil siya ay tumutulig sa climate change, nakulong siya. Okay? So ito yung sinasabi niya, Okay, as scientists, alam nila na totoo si climate change. Okay? And climate change is not just real, more than real, it is progressing real fast. Okay? Yung kanilang projections early on, ay nagbago at mas bumibilis yung progress ni climate change. And primarily we all know that. Okay, although there are still a small amount of climate deniers in our country, in the world in general. Okay, that leads me to the next one. Climate change instigators, no? Bukod sa nangyayari si climate change, hanggang ngayon meron pa ring mga, no, nagtutulak sa climate change. Okay? There are still those companies who are burning fossil fuels more than that they supposed to. Okay, there are still banks who finance fossil fuel tulad nga ni JP Morgan Chase. Okay? There are still countries, nations, states na very dependent to fossil fuel, and that sadly one of that would be the Philippines. Okay, hopefully our speakers for today would have a certain explanation on why is that the case, right? But well, there are climate change instigators. Bukod sa instigators, meron din tayong climate ignorance and denial. Okay, ito mainit-init pa, no? As you can see, it's just 12 hours ago. So this person in the name of Damos Roussos, who wants to, I think he wants to be famous, okay, questions one of our events. So we will be having a teach-in Japan, okay, headed by our other colleague, Miss Tony Suzuki Ilagan. And then he questions if this is in accordance with the SDGs. So if you are taking subjects like the contemporary world, malamang nabanggit na, or incoming topic is Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So tinanong niya yun, no? Sinagot siya ni Miss Tony that yes, no? And then ano yung sagot niya? So it's communism din. Ba? So hindi rin pala sa Pilipinas uso ang red tagging, no? Damos Roussos is based sa kanyang profile foreigner siya. Okay? So, my point is, no, people there are still people like this person. Okay? Who actually dinidemonize niya yung SDGs. Naniniwala siya that SDGs are a plot of the UN, no? Doon nang talagang yan ang magpapabagsak sa atin, no? And all that. No? That is ignorance and denial. Okay? Hindi siya naniniwala sa science, hindi siya naniniwala sa data, sa facts. Okay? That is climate ignorance and denial. Okay? Ito yung mga reason, no? These kinds of persons, sila yung reason kung bakit yung instigators, they are winning. Okay? And the point is, while there are climate instigators and there is climate ignorance and denial, climate change is happening. And while it's happening, no, ano ang nagiging response ng tao? Despair. Okay? Nalulungkot. Okay? Paano dumating sa point ng isang NASA climate scientist, he is living a good life? We can just assume that he earns well. Isipin mo nagtatrabaho ka sa NASA as scientist. Diba, goals? Diba? Pero at the end of the day, nag-resort siya into a protest. Alam niyo ginawa niya? Pinosas niya yung sarili niya sa pintuan ng bangko. Kaya siya hinuli. It's just a peaceful protest like that with just a placard with na nakalagay doon sa ating glass door. Now, ano ang nangyayari? Okay? Frustration comes to people when they realize that climate change is here and that it is affecting our lives, no, and that the future is unsure. Nalulungkot, nade-despair ang tao. Okay? At sa sobrang laki ng topic na yan na hindi natin kayang ma-imagine, nagre-result siya into inaction. We tend not to move an inch about it, to set that aside and focus on our own personal problems. While that is, well, not problematic at all. No? Hindi naman problema na problemahin natin yung sarili natin problema. But the point here being is that climate and topics about it are being disregarded. Okay? Sabi nga ni Sir Buama, andito na ba si Sir Buama? Sabi ni Sir Buama, he will be our speaker also later on. No? Sa isa sa kanyang mga teach-in, ang climate ay nauusog into low politics. No? Hindi siya masyadong na pag-uusapan, hindi siya nasusolusyonan. Okay, and one factor is that it's very big for us to understand. Okay? That's why we are having these kinds of discussions. Right? And of course, climate injustice. Okay? Climate injustice. So, ang isang example na nilagay ko dito, right, yung picture dyan sa left, it's a picture of an indigenous community who are living their lives, no? Ang nagsustain sa kanilang buhay is their environment. Highly agricultural yung kanilang community. So, if you have attended one previous teachings natin, alam natin na ang agricultural ang agriculture as a mode of livelihood is very relying or highly reliant to the nature, to natural resources, and of course the climate. Okay? At bakit siya injustice? Kasi hindi naman sila yung main instigators. Di ba? Sino ba main instigators niyan? Okay, pwede mo sabihin in a perspective ng in a capitalist perspective, yung mga huge transnational corporations. Okay? But I don't want to step on the discussions of the other speakers. Baka matamaan ko sila. Basta, no, my point is there is climate injustice. So imagine them interacting. Nangyayari si climate change, nagre-resulta siya sa climate injustice, habang there are still instigators na nagbe-benefit sa climate change. Tapos, no, meron pa tayong mga tao na ignorant about it, na in denial about it, habang yung mga naniniwala can fall into that despair and inaction. Okay? That's why it is important for us to have these kinds of discussions. Okay? Now, second question. How can climate teach-ins like this encourage climate actions then and provide solutions? Eh nag-uusap lang naman tayo dito, sir. Paano tayo nakakapag-encourage ng climate action? Right? So, well, si Bard, no, the lead, yung talagang nagsimula, the initiator of this movement, the Worldwide Teach-In movement, meron siyang theory. Okay? This is from Dr. Iban din, yung nagsalita kanina. May tatlong ways daw for us to solve climate. Okay, una, change the minds. Pangalawa, change the rules. Third is change the game. Now, changing the minds is changing how we think. Through what? Of course, education. Through talking about things, through learning ideas. Understanding. Okay? Changing the minds. Now, when people change their minds, there is a possibility. Hello? Ano nangyari? Out ako. What happened? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes po.
Medyo nagloko yung aking Zoom. I don't know why. But I will just be... Magpaproceed na lang ako. Hindi ko alam kung ano nangyari. Since yung presentation ko ba ay nakikita pa rin?
Yes po.
Ayan. Thank you for those who are responding. Okay. So, change the minds. Okay. Ayan. Bumalik na ba ako?
Yes, sir. Kita ka na po ulit.
Sorry. Okay. Going back, no? Change minds, change rules, and change the games. No, kapag nagbago ang ating kaisipan, we have the chance to change the rules. When we say change the rules, it is changing the laws, the policies that we have. And policies are highly important in the talks of international relations. Akala natin yung mga treaties na nangyayari, basta-basta lang yang walang epekto sa atin. No, later on, you will realize how important they are and what do they mean. Okay, as our speakers would proceed with their discussions. Okay, and we have that certain kind of power to change the rules if we are able to change our minds. Kasi kung hindi mo naiintindihan, paano ka magpo-proceed into changing the policies? And changing the policies also means that we can change the game. Okay, when we say changing the game, okay, babaguhin natin how the economic system works. Isa sa pinakamalaking mali ng ating mundo is how we meet our needs. We have lots of needs, unending needs and wants. That's the problem of economics actually. Okay, but the businesses, as to how they meet those needs, dun ang problema. Okay, now I highlight yung change the minds because these kinds of discussion starts there. No, yun ang kanyang ginagawa sa atin. It is actually making us realize things that we do not really understand yet. Okay? And with the help of our speakers today, no, hopefully magkaroon tayo ng bagong kaalaman at mas lumawak yung ating kaisipan regarding the idea of sustainability in general, not just climate. Okay? Now, sabi ni Immanuel Wallerstein, man's ability to participate intelligently in the evolution of his own system is dependent on his ability to perceive the whole. Okay? Bakit mahalagang baguhin ng kaisipan? Kasi kung hindi mo babaguhin yan, Kung hindi tayo magkakaroon ng knowledge, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng kaalaman, ng wisdom, we will not be able to understand the world that we are living in. And we cannot participate intelligently on how it evolves. Maraming beses na nag-evolve ang ating mundo. We can say that most for some parts, it is really for the better, like technology. But the question is, how do people participate in it? Or are there very few na may control lamang dyan? No? Paano tayo makapag-participate intelligently at hindi tayo ignorant, okay, about it? It is for us to perceive the whole. Kailangan natin maisip yung buong kabuuan. We cannot just focus on what we have right now in front of us. Yung ating basura, it is not just here, no, na ibubulsa mo. Hindi lang siya ganun, no? It means something on the greater level, on the whole system of the world, no? Kaya nga yung kanyang theory is world systems theory. Diba? Pamilyar? Diba? Yung world systems theory, yan ay galing kay Immanuel Wallerstein, no? Sinasabi niya na para tayo makapag-participate, kailangan mo na maintindihan natin paano nga ba gumagana yung ating mundo, yung kabuuan. Okay? Now, coming from that, how can international relations or international studies, okay, help us understand issues on climate better? Paano daw nakakatulong si international relations or international studies? Now, I will be giving you very basic theories on international relations, okay, which is vital, okay, para maintindihan natin kung paano ba natin maintindihan yung mundo. The world is complex, di ba? Ang mundo ay sala-salabat kung titingnan natin. Kailangan natin itong mga ito to have a certain lens. Okay? Okay, kailangan natin ng lente para maiano natin si international maintindihan natin si international world, no, yung ating global society kung tawagin. Okay? So there are very basic international relations theories. Itong tatlong to. Actually may classical pa yan, no, but I chose the new ones, no, yung mga updated ones. First is neo-realism. Si neo-realism, naniniwala siya that of course the world is anarchic. When we say the world is anarchic, walang government, no, sa mundo. Kaya lahat tayo ay, no, sa mundo na ginagalawan natin ng mga bansa, sinasabi nila walang government na nagmamahala sa kanila. They are kind of the same level by default. No, kasi anarchic eh. Anarchy, absence of ruling. Okay? So the world is anarchic, diyan ang gagaling si neo-realism. So naniniwala siya that states pose with each other as a threat. Okay? So threat daw ang bawat state with each other. Siyempre, may pangangailangan yung state ko, may pangangailangan yung state mo. 'Di ba? So threat tayo sa isa't isa. Yung resources natin limited. Okay? At doon sila nagkokomparahan ng power. Doon nagkakaroon ng power struggle with each other. Pataasan ng national power. Yan. Okay? So at nakakaapekto dyan, of course, there are lots of factors, no? Siyempre, andyan ang economic, military power, andyan ang psychological power, etc. No, ganon si neo-realism as a theory. Okay, at least very basic sense of it. Next is neoliberalism or liberal institutionalism. Okay, naniniwala din siya na in anarchy tayo, no, yung sa ating mundo. In anarchy tayo diyan. Okay? Pero ang mga states daw ay rational. 'Di ba? Very liberalist. Kaya ang mga states daw ay rational, tayo daw ay nag-iisip. Kaya ang mga estado kaya mag-isip ng reasonable. Kaya hindi yan magpo-pose as threat to one another but will create institutions, okay, para sila ay ma-manage. Okay? This is promoting peace to which a state may gain power and influence. Doon daw galing yung source ng power natin. Hindi sa pag-supersede ng other states, kundi, no, kung hindi, doon sa institutions na ating kinikreate. Tulad ng UN. Tulad ng RCEP, nakakasali lang ng Pilipinas. Tulad ng ASEAN. Okay? Tulad ng, ano pa ba, NATO. Yung mga ganyan, no, and other institutions that we form, the ICC and all that, yan ay no, neoliberalist kung tutuusin. Okay? Again, anarchic tayo pero magkakasundo tayo kasi rational tayo. Kumbaga, yung idea is, no, it's just Thomas Hobbes, John Locke again, no, inerase lang natin into the level of international relations. Okay? Isipin nyo na lang, pag si realism, man is born evil. No? Parang ang sama ng mga tao, tamang hinala tayo, away tayo, kasi wala namang government. No, si neoliberalism, man is born good, kind of, or at least no, pantay-pantay tayo and rational tayo. Man is born rational and we are reasonable enough to participate and cooperate with one another. Okay, and then there is this one, si constructivism, no? Ang international system, anarchy. Naniniwala din siya diyan, pero hindi niya sinasabi na meron tayong situation na states are threat to one another or they are rational. Actually, sabi ni Alexander Wendt, no, states, what states make of it. Yung ating daw anarchic world is what states make of it. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Kung ano daw yung gusto nilang interaction with one another, they construct it as their own reality. Yan yung explanation ng mga Western scholars sa ASEAN, no? Association of Southeast Asian Nations. I hope you are familiar with the association, not just with the holiday. No, baka familiar lang kayo sa holiday na ASEAN, no? Well, okay, yung ASEAN hindi nila masyadong ma-explain yan. Under the point of realism and neoliberalism. Okay? Bakit? Kasi si ASEAN, magkakaiba yan eh. Magkakaiba ng biduka yan, no? Ang Pilipinas, Catholic, highly Catholic nation. Okay? And sa atin nagsimula yung democratization primarily nung 1980s because of the People Power Revolution. Kaya nagkaroon ng impact yun globally. Okay? Hindi basta-basta yun. No? At isa doon is yung democratization of ASEAN. Pero mainly sa ASEAN, madami pa rin conservatives. Okay? They are highly conservative because they are leaning to religion. Tapos marami sa kanila authoritarian ang regime. No? So kung titignan mo, magkakaiba talaga tayo sa ASEAN. Pero ba't tayo united? And not just united, we achieve consensus. Sabi natin consensus, 100% yung decisions natin, all 10 nations. Okay? Lahat yon agree or disagree sa isang bagay or sa isang issue. Like, well, climate. For example, Indonesia has been spreading smog sa Mindanao at saka sa Malaysia. Okay? Yan ay issue ng region. At yan ay napagdiskusyonan nila as region. 10 sila nag-agree with how to deal with it. Okay? Now, kung i-explain mo yan, neoliberal ba yun o realism ba yun? No, kasi there is no rational way for us to actually integrate. Sabihin mo, lahat kasi yan, sir, na colonized. Thailand was never colonized. Diba? So, yung mga ganong idea, hindi yan masyado ma-explain in neo-realism sense or neoliberalism sense. Constructivist yan. Well, postmodernist. No? Baka nga naman, yung mga states ang gumagawa ng sarili nilang interaction. Okay? Now, these are Western point of views. Of course, the idea of international relations came from the Westerners. Diba? Marami nga silang kiniklaim in terms of sila daw ang origin of ng ating civilization, right? The Westerns. Okay. Now, let me introduce to you some ideas about the Western international relations. There are actually 5 shortcomings dun sa ating Western IRT. Dun sa mga nabanggit ko, no, sinasabi ni Buzan at saka ni Little na actually yung mga yan, no, hindi pwede talaga as lente pag-aral sa mga bansa tulad ng Pilipinas na matatagpuan mo sa Asia. Why? Ano yung 5 shortcomings niyan? First is presentism. Okay? Presentism, ito yung idea na binuview nila yung IR relations, yung international relations ng dynamics ng Pilipinas with other, or let's say just Asia, no? Yung Asian international relations with what is happening on the present. Kaya naghihirap yung Pilipinas kasi hindi sumunod sa aming yapak, sabihin ng mga Westerners. Hindi kasi kayo nag-industrialize. No, tingnan nyo ngayon kayo. No, ayan ang present ninyo. This is your level. Ito yung situation mo at na contemporary. Okay? So parang pinoprove ng Western IR theory that because of the isa sa evidence niya is what is happening in the present, no, yun nagiging justification niya in terms of explaining na totoo nga yung kanyang observation. Second is a historicism. A historicism is neglecting other point of views of history and focusing on one and transcending it as general reality. Okay? Bakit tayo nalamangan ng mga Westerners dito? Kasi sila yung mga naunang nag-explore. Kasi sila lang naman yung malikot ang paa. So, tayo sa East, we are actually stable naman sa ating kinalalagyan. No? Sila yung mahilig pumunta ng ibang lugar tapos magko-colonize. Now, ano nangyari? No? They have created their own version of history. Okay? At yun lang ang tinatanggap nila history. Yun yung naging basis nila on studying how countries work, no? How nations interact, how states actually deal with each other with issues like climate change. Okay? At yun ay nadala hanggang ngayon. Third is Eurocentrism. What works with Europe will work in Asia. Diba? Yung realism, liberalism, actually yan ay mga point of views na galing sa Western. No? And that, yung mga example na yan, syempre galing sa interactions ng mga European countries. Sama na natin syempre si US. Okay? Next, anarchophilia. Ito sinasabi ng ng mga non-Western international relation theorists. Ang mundo hindi anarchy. Ang Western point of view, mahal na mahal yung idea na ang mundo ay anarchy. Sabi ng mga non-Western international relation theorists, hindi yan absolute. Anarchy is actually not an absolute idea in how our nations, our states, interact with one another. Okay? There is just no institution, but there is kind of a certain leading normative power na nag-govern sa atin. It's not really in anarchy. Okay? Kasi pag inisip mo anarchy, lahat tayo, by default, we have the same fighting chance. Yun yung gustong idea ng Western. Okay? And third is state-centrism. Kung papansinin natin, when we talk about international relations, lagi yan tungkol sa bansa. Or kadalasan tungkol yan sa isang bansa. Okay? Yung bansa, in English natin, state. Yun yung gustong term, no? State, estado. Okay? Well, sinasabi ng mga non-Western, hindi yan din absolute. There are lots of point of views, there are lots of organizations and other entities na pwede nating isama na idea ng international relations. And they're affecting that in terms of the same level. Okay, although yung itong observation na ni Busan and ni Little, medyo hindi ako masyado agreeing dyan. Kasi Western IRT rin naman ay kino-consider din yung mga transnational companies and corporations, di ba, in terms of the talks. Okay. Now, bigyan ko lang kayo na example. Okay, example ng mga non-Western. Okay, meron tayong classical Islamic international relations theory. So itong point of view na to, nakatingin kung paano mag-interact with other nations sa mga Islamic states. Okay? Ang Islamic states, contrary to what the Westerners proposes, is actually, they are actually peaceful. Okay? Peaceful states sila. Hindi sila violent. Okay? Sir, bakit nagkakaroon ng jihad and all? No? Sila naniniwala sila that peace shall be pursued and power building shall be defense and self-protection. Lulukuban lang nila yung sarili nila. Okay? O bakit ngayon nagkakaroon ng jihad? Okay? It's because kung ikaw ba naman ay maatake ka ng di ba? Kunin ng economic resources mo. Mag-impose sa'yo ng political will, country, no, na hindi mo naman winelcome. Okay? How would you react? Self-protection. Now, this is different. Kailangan ko lang sabihin, no, this is different with different movements, social movements related to Islam. Ang Islam, marami rin silang denomination. Meron din silang mga radical, mga extremist kung tawagin. with the likes of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Okay? Hindi yan the same. Now, what I am saying is the general Islamic states like Malaysia, like Brunei. Okay? So sila peaceful sila in general. Okay? They only retaliate in terms of actually defending nga lang, not instigating. Right? Pansinin nyo, bigyan ko kayo ng isang example. Sinong umaatake? Palestine o Israel? 'Di ba? Israel. Kasi ang Palestine is peaceful community. Islamic state 'yan. Okay? Ang Israel is not an Islamic state. Is Jewish. No, not Jewish. Hebrew. Okay? Well, Jew in concept din, no? Similar belief system. Now, Confucian o Tianxia worldview. Okay, naniniwala naman ito, no, inward harmony among nations. Pero unlike neoliberalism, ang foundation ng ating harmony is that sense of rationality that we have. Okay, yung Confucianism naniniwala sa idea na there is ordered hierarchy. Harmonious hierarchical order. Kaya daw tayo no harmonious as a world is because yung talagang nakatalagang hierarchy ng mundo. May mga bansa talaga na meant to be the leaders in the government of the world. Tulad ng China. Okay? Confucian. Right? There is this idea that China is the center of the world and they are meant to rule. Okay? And that is a harmonious hierarchical order. Unequal but benign. Yun yung term, no? Ni Acharya at saka ni Buzan. Okay? And then mandala system. Ito malapit sa atin to. 'Di ba sa account ni ni De Plasencia, 'di ba? Or ni Pigafetta rather or either. 'Di ba? Ang Philippines, wala tayo talaga nation. Ang Pilipinas naman hindi tayo bumuo niyan eh. Yung nag-demarcate niyan, hindi tayo nag-demarcate ng Pilipinas. Ang nag-demarcate ng Pilipinas mga tagalabas. Bakit? Ang Pilipinas ay naka-mandala system. Okay? Ang mandala system, local authorities. Yung mga kingship natin, localities. At yan ay talagang pantay-pantay, no? May culture yan with one another. Okay, may political dynamic sila as barangays. Wala tayong Pilipinas noon na isang buo. 'Di ba? Sino nagpangalan sa atin yan? Westerners. Mandala system tayo. Now, kung ganun yung iisipin natin, no, there are lots of things that these Western international relation theories that they are missing out. No, ba't mo pinupukol sa amin yung idea ng neorealism as idea when we have a mandala system culture? And yan ay dala-dala pa rin in some of our Southeast Asian nations such as Myanmar and with the likes of Vietnam, no, yung nasa Indochina, members ng ASEAN, no, the mainland ASEAN. Okay? So, these are just examples of non-Western international relations. Now, given those ideas, anong conclusion natin? Okay, ang international relations, IR serves as a lens, okay, to study climate change more than its environmental implications. Pag pinag-usapan natin no ang climate change as planetary networks, as global networks, its international implications, kung bakit siya nangyayari at bakit siya patuloy na nangyayari under those lenses, okay, syempre magkakaiba ng kalalabasan niya. It helps us understand the system of the world in the past, in the present, and even have an idea of what our future would be. Like kung ang government wala pa ring mga ginagawa action regarding climate justice, people who are suffering injustices tulad ng people of the Dumagat people from Sierra Madre na nagsasuffer sa Kaliwa Dam, they will not be the last victims of that. Diba? Yung hangin natin na hindi nagiging better, it would become worse in the future. Okay, if these nations would not really do something concrete, not do something that is helpful for us. Okay? Kaya natin kailangan CIR. That's why IR is vital also as a point of study. Right? With that, thank you, and that is my presentation. Okay? Now, if you have any questions regarding my presentation, isulat nyo muna. Kindly take note of them as of the moment, and we will have an open forum at the end of our program. Now, passing on to the second speaker. So our second speaker would be James Kevin Buama. So he is a social science instructor at Our Lady of Fatima University, Valenzuela. He graduated with a degree on political sciences at Technological Institute of the Philippines, Manila, as the first cum laude under the said program. He is currently taking up his master's degree in political studies at De La Salle University, Manila. Let us all welcome Sir James Buama. Sir James, the floor is yours.
Hello, magandang gabi. Rinig ba ako? Rinig ba ako,
Yes,
sir?
sir.
Yes po.
Audible po.
Okay, sige. Maraming salamat Sir Alec sa napaka-substantial na discussion mo Dami kong natutunan especially the non-western theories na very enlightening very enlightening kasi very immersed tayo sa western theory. Meron pala mga ganung theories I thought it's only realism, liberalism, constructivism, Marxism, feminism, and postmodernism. Okay, but I didn't know na even yung mga ASEAN part mismo ay gumagawa mismo ng kanilang mga lente mismo para intindihin mismo yung political condition ng bawat bansa mismo. Okay? Share ko muna yung Okay, nakita yung PowerPoint natin. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And okay, so basically, with my previous teaching din, ginawa ko rin to, okay. Actually, although yung pinaka-topic natin is nakasentro mismo sa diskurso ng international relations mismo, yung aking topic mismo is actually not absolutely revolving around international relations or world politics or geopolitics mismo. So hinaluan ko siya ng konting filosofiya And actually we're not gonna be judging what's happening right now by purely using western lens or yung tinatawag na realismo, okay? At gagawin natin ang ginawa ko dito is titingnan natin klase na nangyayari sa climate sa climate change doon mismo sa perspektibo mismo ni Hannah Arendt sa mga ibang individual na hindi pa bago pa lang sa kay Hannah Arendt mismo. Si Hannah Arendt mismo ay isang napaka-famous na philosopher mismo ng 20th century At of course, babae yan si Hannah Arendt mismo. It's one of the genius philosopher ng 20th century. Napaka-classical ng mga gawa niya mismo Karamihan ng mga gawa niya mismo ay nakasentro sa politika mismo. Pero kung meron mang pinakasikat na gawa mismo si Hannah Arendt mismo, yung tinatawag natin na the human condition. So ito yung gagamitin natin na pinakalente para intindihin mismo yung nangyayari sa climate change ngayon. And then later on, tingnan natin, bigyan natin ng konting timpla ng international relations. Pagaluin natin yung filosofiya at yung diskurso sa international relations mismo. Okay? Yung book niya mismo na The Human Condition, actually napaka-classical nito kasi sa iba't ibang dimension mismo ng lipunan natin, pwedeng mo siyang i-apply mismo Okay, pwede mo i-apply sa diskurso ng politika, ng ekonomiya, sociological or psychological. Kaya siya tinawag na the human condition mismo. Okay? It's because it's talks about yung lipunan mismo at yung tao mismo. Okay? At very basic lang naman yung pinakasinabi ni Hannah Arendt. And I think mahalaga na makinig tayo sa kanya, Okay? Napakasimple lang ng niris niya, pero it's it cuts deeper than the knife, Ang purpose lang ni Hannah Arendt mismo doon sa kanyang libro mismo is i-consider lang natin everyone, I-consider natin everyone kung ano nangyayari sa atin ngayon sa panahon natin. Okay? Hanggang saan na ba tayo napunta ngayon? Okay, ano na bang nangyari sa atin? At nakita naman natin na sa bawat pag-unlad at pagbabago ng lipunan natin, there is some radical change na nangyayari sa atin. Okay, hindi lang pang physical mismo pati sa pagbabago ng ating mentalidad, no? Okay, or ating pag-iisip mismo. Ano ba? Ang malaking katanungan dito is sa pag-progress ba ng panahon natin ngayon, sa bawat taon ba na lumilipas ay gumaganda yung ating ginagalawang mundo? Yun yung katanungan ni Hannah Arendt. Or, okay, mas lumalala tayo ngayon. Okay, yun yung mga katanungan ni Hannah Arendt na pinropose niya mismo sa libro niya, The Human Condition. And to summarize yung point ni Hannah Arendt sa Human Condition na maaari nating i-connecta mismo sa sa climate change mismo. Tatlong idea lang, no, everyone. And I want all of you na pakitandaan tong tatlong to kasi ito yung pinaka-blueprint mismo, no, or pinaka-skeleton mismo ng pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Okay? Yung unang bullet is very basic lang, no. Humans are earthbound creatures. Symbiotic relationship. Ang ibig sabihin diyan ni Hannah Arendt, everyone, no, is that ang tao mismo, heavily dependent talaga tayo sa environment natin or sa earth na ginagalawan natin. You know, let's say for example, this one class, no, everyone, no, this bottle, no. I mean, napakasimple lang naman nito, 'di ba? Napakasimple ng pagkakayari dito. But by looking at this bottle, makikita mo kung paano nag-interact mismo ang isang tao sa bagay na ginagalawan niya mismo. And this bottle, yung materialis na ginamit dito is materialis yan mismo doon sa environment na ginagalawan niya mismo. Dito pa lang sa first bullet, pinapakita na ni Hannah Arendt mismo kung gaano kahalaga yung environment na ginagalawan natin sa pang-araw-araw natin. And of course, it is a symbiotic relationship. No, pag sinabing symbiotic sa science, ibig sabihin it's mutual, 'di ba? Ang tao hindi lang yan submissive mismo sa environment niya. In fact, kaya nagkakaroon ng pagbabago sa environment, it is a mutual interaction between the environment and the man itself. 'Di ba? Diyan papasok yung sinasabi ni Charles Darwin, bunga yan ng tinatawag na survival of the fittest. Okay, diyan papasok yung sinasabi ni Charles Darwin sa kanyang on the origin of species mismo. Okay, dahil sa pangangailangan ng tao, lubang pangangailangan lang ng una, gumawa siya ng mga bagay para mas mapadali yung buhay niya. Okay, kung pupunta pa tayo sa mga ancient people, no, yung mga homos na yan. Okay, then later on, the more na nag-develop yung reason natin, okay, the more na yung pangangailangan, hindi lang siya nagiging pangangailangan, no? Pati yung kagustuhan ng tao, yung mga desire niya mismo, okay, natugunan na natin. Ang problema kasi, okay lang sana kung pangangailangan okay lang kung pangangailangan. Pero ang problema kasi, yung desire kasi ng tao, which is insatiable, pag sinabing insatiable class is unlimited, yun mismo yung pinaka-nagtutulak sa bawat tao na maaaring hindi niya makontrol yung ginagawa niya mismo. At ang consequence is magkaroon ng some sort of ripple effect or chain effect sa lipunan natin na siyang nararamdaman natin ngayon. Karamihan ba ng mga naiimbento nating bagay is it because sa pangangailangan natin or baka naimbento siya dahil lang sa kagustuhan ng tao? And kahit na hindi naman kailangan, para lang mas mapadali yung buhay natin is gagawin siya mismo. Okay? Dito kine-question din ni Hannah Arendt mismo class yung pagiging arrogant, no, or pagiging kayabangan ng ibang individual mismo. Na, for example, noong 1970s, I think it was in 1970s or 1950s, nung na-launch mismo yung satellite mismo. Okay, yung unang satellite mismo sa 1900s. Yun, biglang naging controversial yun. Kasi napaka-symbolic nun. Napaka-symbolic ng movement na yun. Bakit? Kasi that's ang pinaka-signal na pinapakita ng pag-launch ng satellite na yun sa Earth natin. That's the time na pwedeng yung buhay ng tao ay hindi na lang siya maging earthbound creature. But rather, yung limit na binibigay sa atin ng environment natin ay pwede natin malagpasan mismo. Okay? Kasi nga, pag-launch ng satellite, nakadiscover tayo ng mas malawak mismo na kaalaman mismo sa sa universe natin. Okay? Pero sabi ni Hannah Arendt, still, okay? Napakahalaga ng Earth na ginagalawan natin kaysa doon sa outside it, no, na wala kang kasiguraduhan kung talaga nga bang makapasurvive mismo yung tao mismo. Okay? Sabi niya nga sa book niya mismo, ito page 9, no, The Human Condition, men are conditioned beings because everything they come in contact with turns immediately into a condition of their existence, no? So ito yung pinaka-nagbabalidate doon sa first bullet na pinakita ko sa inyo. Okay? Pangalawang bullet, everyone, no, humans seemingly infinite capability is a double-edged sword. Now, I want all of you here to look at the seemingly infinite capability, which is totoo. You know, I ask my students about this. Okay, especially with TCW, this student, I ask them kung sa tingin ba nila naabot na ba ng tao yung potential niya. I mean, that's observed question, di ba? Siyempre, generally, ang sagot ng bawat individual, it's no. Okay? But the thing here is, class, everyone, no, hindi siya, Actually, wala tayong kasiguro doon kung ma-achieve nga ba talaga natin yung full potential natin kasi seemingly napaka-infinite at napaka-unlimited mismo ng potential ng tao mismo. You know, kung titingin ka sa mata ng satellite mismo, no, okay, maliliit lang tayo mismo, pero yung liit ng taong ito mismo is napakalaki mismo ng kanyang capability na kayang-kaya niya mismo diktahan mismo kung ano mismo magiging destiny mismo ng napakalaking mundo mismo. Okay? Ayan. 'Di ba? Kung familiar kayo kay Friedrich Nietzsche, no? Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, kung nadaanan niyo 'yan sa philosophy niyo, okay? Sinigundahan niya 'to, no? Sa libro ni Friedrich Nietzsche na The Gay Science at inulit niya yan doon sa kanyang book na The Speak to Zarathustra. Sinabi niya doon everyone na that God is dead and we killed him, no? Yung idea niya na God is dead, it's not because pinatay ng tao yung Diyos. It is an idea na kung saan pinakita ni Nietzsche kung paanong lumabas mismo kung paano unti-unti yung tao mismo ay lumabas mismo doon sa kulungan mismo na ginagalawan niya at unti-unti itong paglabas niya mismo is nagbunga ng napakalaking improvement sa buhay niya. Diyan papasok yung scientific revolution o yung mga bagay na nakikita natin ngayon sa paligid natin. Yun nga lang, ang problema, etong infinite capability, yung discovery, yung invention na ginagawa ng tao, it is a double-edged sword. No? Pag sinabing double-edged sword, everyone, no, magkabila yung talim nito, no? Either may good effect yan or may bad effect yan. And kay Hannah Arendt, as far as she observed, no, may mga nagawa naman yung tao na mabuti, which is kind of creative, no? May mga nagawa naman siya mga bagay na pwedeng mag-destroy mismo doon sa kanyang buhay mismo. Ayan. Sinabi niya rin yan sa page 9 ng book niya, no? Basahin ko muna. Sabi ni Hannah Arendt, there is no reason to doubt our present abilities to accomplish such an exchange, just as there is no reason to doubt our present ability to destroy all organic life on Earth. Okay? Ito yung pinakamagiging katawan ng natin, no, ng discussion natin mismo. And pangatlo, no, na pinoint out ni Hannah Arendt mismo, which is ito yung pinakamagiging concluding part ng magiging discussion natin. Humans are often unaware to the consequences of our action. Okay? Ayan. But for now, balikan ko muna yung pangalawang bullet kasi ito yung pinakamagiging sentro natin dito, no? Ayan. And gusto ko mag-focus doon sa destruction mismo na pinakita ng tao ngayon. Okay? Ayan. Oo, nakakagawa tayo ng mga bagay na nakakapagpadali ng buhay natin, di ba? Creation. Okay, nakakapag-invento tayo ng washing machine, nakakapag-invento tayo ng cellphone. Ano pa ba yung mga nagagawa natin sa buhay natin? Pero sa kabila niyan, no, it's like a zero sum game, no? Zero sum game. Kung meron kang nakuha sa kabila, maaaring may negative effect sa kabila mismo. Sa panahon na na-invento natin ng kotse, ang washing machine, ng aircon, etc., na nakakapagpadali ng buhay natin, dito papasok yung itong mga bagay na na-invento natin mismo sa panahon natin. Okay? At napakasentro nito, kung i-connect natin sa filosofiya ni Hannah Arendt, kasi si Hannah Arendt, everyone, ay nabuhay sa panahon na kung saan na-invento mismo ni Oppenheimer, no? Na-invento ni Oppenheimer mismo yung tinatawag na atomic bomb na napaka-destructive sa panahon natin ngayon, no? Not only the atomic bomb itself, even the simple tanks, even the airplane, the aircrafts, artillery, etc., yung mga bagay na yan. At yung ginagawa ngayon ng North Korea, no, napakakulit talaga ni Kim Jong-un, no? Ni Kim Jong-un, no? But what can we expect from a fascist leader, no? Pag sinabi kasi nating fascist leader, ang mga fascist talaga, they're actually more on military investment talaga, no? And they tend to take things their approach by military way. Okay, so itong si Kim Jong-un, umalis to ng NPT. Okay, Non-Nuclear Proliferation Treaty kasi member dati ang North Korea ng NPT dati. After lumabas ni Kim Jong-un mismo ng NPT, tsaka siya nag-develop mismo ng mga interballistic capability ng North Korea mismo, interballistic missiles, including the atomic bomb. Well, of course, kung titingnan mo yan sa lente ng realismo, na parang naglalaro lang sila ng chess dito, no? Kasi interest ng bawat bansa, ginagamit ng mga nuclear weapons as a deterrent, no? Pag sinabi nating deterrent, ibig sabihin, maaaring maging warning mismo sa isang bansa na hindi mo ko pwedeng kanti-kantayin dito, okay, kasi meron akong napakalakas na weapon mismo na pwedeng umano sa iyo, na pwedeng bumangga sa iyo mismo, just like what is happening right now in Ukraine and Russia, whereby nakita naman natin nakaka-put forward ngayon ng mga Ukrainians against the Russians recently, no? Last year nakaka-put forward sila last year nakaka-put forward sila diyan, and then nakita naman natin yung mga desperate measure mismo ni Vladimir Putin dito. We say desperate measure kasi right now nagwa-warning na siya mismo sa nagwa-warning na siya mismo sa where's my okay. According sa Reuters kasi nagwa-warning na siya mismo ng nagwa-warning na siya ng new nuclear warnings mismo sa West, sa Amerika mismo, sa even sa European Union members, no, na kung hindi ka mismo na titigil diyan sa ginagawa mo, pwede kami magbagsak ng gagamit kami ng nuclear weapons against the Ukrainians, no. Kung sigurado bang gagamitin ni Putin yan, well, we don't know so far and we cannot speculate right now, no. But by far I think it's less likely na mangyari kasi yung sabog mismo ng atomic bomb, okay, hindi lang naman hindi na naman Ukraine ang tatama diyan mismo, no. And even the NATO members could also be affected by the spillover effects ng atomic bomb, and the Article 5 collective security mismo ng NATO ay maaaring ma-actualize, which could rejuvenate further, no, or mabigyan mismo ng opportunity mismo ang bawat NATO members na mag-intervene mismo sa sa nangyayari ngayon sa kanila. So by far gumagamit si Putin ngayon ng parang sinatawag natin na Sun Tzu tactic ngayon, no. Kung kilala niyo si Sun Tzu, no, si Sun Tzu mismo ang author ng Art of War, at sinabi doon ni Sun Tzu, the best way to win the war is not by fighting a war itself, okay? So by far gumagamit ng intimidation tactic dito si Vladimir Putin. Okay? So ang naging respond naman diyan ni US mismo, ang naging respond ni US diyan is nagsend siya ng mga private warning sa US, kagaya na lamang ng pagpapadala ng mga US monitoring jets na pinapaandar nila sa Poland, somewhere area nakadikit mismo ng Ukraine mismo, sending a military message to Russia na okay, hindi kami magpapa-threaten sa iyo dito, and that we are ready enough na kontrahin ka mismo sa mga gagawin mo. And anong connection nito sa climate change mismo? This is atomic bomb that we're talking about here. And this is not the first instance na nagbadya ang isang individual na gumamit ng atomic bomb. At nakita naman natin kung gaano catastrophic ang atomic bomb. You just have to step back, look backward sa kasaysayan ng buong mundo at makikita mo kung ano nangyari sa Nagasaki at Hiroshima. Hindi lang naman tao ang namatay doon mismo, no? Even yung pinaka-environment na ginagalawan nila, yung pinaka-tinamaan doon mismo. Okay? Ayan. And even yung simpleng pagpapadala mismo ng airplane, pagpapadala mismo ng mga barko, airplane, ng mga tangke, etc. Yun, malaki nakaka-apekto din yun mismo sa climate change natin, no? Kasi yung paggamit simple ng fuel, simple ng pabiyahe pa lang, no? Okay, yung fuel na napoproduce niyan mismo, mas napapalala niya mismo yung climate change. And right now as we can see, since nagiging conflictual talaga ngayon ng natin, ang international system natin, nakita naman natin na talagang heavily invested sa pag-modernize mismo ng mga weapons ngayon ng mga hegemons, no, or yung mga malalakas na bansa ngayon. At alam naman natin na ang conflict ay hindi lang naman nasa Ukraine at sa Russia. Kung titigin tayo sa ibang region, may conflict din ngayon sa West Philippine Sea and some parts sa Senkaku Island sa bandang area ng Japan mismo. Okay? At ngayon nagkakaroon din ng conflict mismo sa Taiwan. Nung nag-visit mismo si Pelosi sa Taiwan, no, na-threaten mismo si Xi Jinping, no, yung Chinese government sa pag-visit ni Pelosi sa Taiwan, kasi it's like sending a message to China na okay, we are on the Taiwan side and we will not allow you to annex the Taiwan sa bansa mo mismo. And same also with Taiwanese government na ayaw din naman nila mismo na ma-annex sila mismo ng China. So right now nagkakaroon sila ng massive military modernization, balikatan exercise, okay, sa mga iba't ibang region ngayon. Yun, madalaki ang epekto mismo sa climate change natin. And even yung kinoconduct nila mismo na mga balikatan exercise, sample yung pagpapadala ng mga naval fleet mismo sa West Philippines, especially yung recently na nangyayari ngayon na Chinese laser incident na ginawa mismo sa mga Filipino Coast Guard natin na tinatanggi pa rin ng China kahit kitang-kita na sa video mismo, okay, na talagang tinutukan nila ng laser, which is by the way hindi nila unang beses na ginawa, pangalawang beses na ginawa nila yan last 2020. Ayun, inulit na naman nila ngayon. So medyo failed ang foreign policy, no, ng last admin din when it comes to that, kasi naulit mismo yung pagtutok mismo sa kanila ng laser. And what's the response to that, no? So nagko-conduct tayo ng balikatan exercise with the hegemonic powers, no, kagaya ng Japan, ng Australia at ng USA, no, sending a military message na this is a new piece of foreign policy ng ng Pilipinas, no? It's like hindi siya katulad ng Emperor's New Clothes ni Duterte last admin, no? Okay? Ayan, new policy to na hindi na kami pwedeng magpapakanti-kanti lang sa inyo. So yung mga balikatan exercise na yan, it's some sort of ultimatum sa China that you have to go out yan, no? Kasi hindi yan parte mismo ng UNCLOS mo. Okay, but again, the overall connection to that dun sa diskurso natin ngayon is yung threat mismo, no? Threat mismo ng military, no? Okay, sa mundo natin ngayon na kung mag-exacerbate or mag-escalate into further conflict, we don't know what will happen. But one thing is for sure, napaka-catastrophic niyan, okay? Para sa atin. Okay? Ayan. Right? So ano pa? Okay. Oh, ito. Here's also what I want you to look at, no? Okay, sa nangyayari ngayon sa world politics natin. Okay? Ayan, yung sa Arctic Ocean mismo na tinatawag natin. Okay? Sa bandang north, no? So, pag tinanong mo ang iba't ibang individual kung bakit mismo natutunaw yung yelo diyan, ang sasabihin ng iba, it's because of the climate change, no? It's a natural process. Well, tama naman sila doon, no? Kasi kung titingin tayo sa climatological perspective, no? Yung tanong na tao nga ba ang dahilan kung bakit may climate change, it's debatable question. It's a debatable question kasi marahil sinasabi ng mga environmentalist, tao talaga ang dahilan kung bakit may climate change, pero kung titingnan mo sa climatological na pananaw, no, or climatological perspective, hindi tao talaga actually yung dahilan kung bakit may climate change. Na maaaring ang climate change is it's only a natural process ng mundo natin. And that probably or maybe yung pinaka naging contribution ng tao mismo sa climate change is because yung he or she further exacerbated mismo yung nangyari sa Arctic, no, or yung nangyari sa climate change, or mas pinalala niya mismo yung climate change. And why am I saying this, no? Kasi dito sa Arctic mismo, makikita natin dito yung pinaka conventional or artificial na kagagawa ng tao kung bakit natutunaw diyan mismo yung yelo diyan. Okay, Arctic Ocean is like, in a simple metaphor, it's like the West Philippine Sea ng Pilipinas, diba? It's like the West Philippine Sea in Pilipinas. Arctic is a very strategic area sa sa mga Arctic states, no. Yung mga Arctic state yan papasok sila Russia, sila Canada, sila USA, etc. Sila yung mga Arctic state. Tinawag sila ng mga Arctic kasi yung mga bansa na yan is nakapalibot sa Arctic mismo. Okay, so maraming mayaman yan for mineral resources, no, oil, etc. Ayan. And kung matunaw yung yelo diyan, especially Russia, no, Russia would actually be happy kung matunaw ang yelo diyan mismo. And mind you, hindi yan natutunaw dahil sa climate change lang. Natutunaw yan dahil sa ginagawa ng iba't ibang bansa diyan, especially the Russia mismo. Okay? Kasi kung titingnan natin yung datos, no, ang may pinakamadaming ice cruncher diyan mismo sa Arctic, no, Arctic Ocean ay yung Russia mismo. And in fact, kung titingin kayo dito sa mapa na to, no, everyone, okay, yung mga pula na yan dyan na nakalagay, yan yung mga Russian Arctic bases, no. Tapos yung violet na nakikita nyo, yan yung mismo mga non-Russian bases. And then yung light yellow, I think, mga oil and gas fields yan na meron sa Arctic. So as you can see, ang may pinakamadami mismo na mga military bases is Russia talaga mismo. Kung meron mo sumisigunda diyan sa sa Russia mismo, no, maaring mismo yung USA mismo kasi may military bases sila somewhere sa Alaska mismo. Parte mismo 'yan ng USA, yung Alaska. Okay, mayaman din sa oil mismo yung Alaska, no. Ayun, pinaplano ngayon ni Biden na ihukayin ngayon yung mga oil dyan, which is umaalma ang mga climate activists at environmental activists sa ginagawa nila. Well, maybe Biden is doing that largely as a response na nangyayari sa Ukraine at sa Russia, no? Okay. And in even Greenland, Denmark, nakikipagsabayan din sila mismo diyan mismo sa ginagawa ng Russians, no? And meron silang mga ice cruncher. Sa mga hindi aware kung I think it's icebreaker or ice cruncher yung tawag doon, no? Okay, yung parang mga barko, yung mga na-invento nila na parang mga barko. Okay, yung barko na parang bulldozer siya pero pang dagat talaga siya. Meron siyang napakalaking bibig mismo. Okay, tapos yung mismo parang nagbabasag-basag mismo ng mga ng mga yelo doon mismo. Okay, para makadaan mismo yung team nila, makapag-ukay sila diyan, etc. For oil, mineral resources, etc. pa mismo. Bakit nila ginagawa yon, di ba? Bakit nila binabasag yan? Well, kung titingnan na natin sa lente ng mga titingnan natin sa lente ngayon ng yung pinaliwanag ni Sir Alex sa inyo, kung titingnan natin sa konsepto ng realismo, okay, motivated yan by their own national interest mismo sa realism. They have to do that to protect their own national and military interest. Like especially right now na ang Russia ay naharap ngayon sa giyera sa Ukraine, expect for more aggressive move sa Arctic mismo. Gawa nga na nagkakaroon ng massive collective sanctions ngayon sa Russia, they would need to look for more further resources, okay, na pwede nilang pagkuhanan, at ang Arctic mismo mayaman na mismo sa resources mismo. Ayan. Okay? So, maliban pa doon sa makukuha nila mga oil at mineral resources, isa pa sa advantage ng Arctic mismo, pag natunaw lahat yan, is the possible trade route mismo, sa na pwedeng gawin ng madaanan ng bawat bansa na yan. The more na umiikli ang trade, ang pakikipagpalitan ng produkto, tatandaan nyo, the more na mas nagiging convenient, mas nagiging mura mismo, mas nagiging safe mismo ang delivery ng produkto. Hindi naman lahat ng produkto pinapadala gamit ng eroplano. In fact, may mga cargo na ginagamit talaga na dinadala talaga sa barko mismo. At pag napaikli pa mismo yan, economically beneficial yan sa mga bansa diyan. Yun nga lang, ang epekto niyan ng pagkatunaw na yan diyan sa Arctic mismo, dito papasok yung sa mga developing countries mismo. Pinaka-apektado diyan mismo yung mga developing countries, especially mismo yung countries na nakalocate mismo sa lower equator ng mundo natin mismo, especially the Philippines, the Thailand, the Indonesia, and okay, somewhere in the lower equator, kasi the more natutunaw yung yelo diyan is one of the effect of climate change, the more na umaangat mismo yung tubig dito sa mga bansa na to. And there's even a scientific prognostication or prediction, okay, na kung saan maaaring lumubog mismo yung mga bansa lower the equator. And sila nagbe-benefit sila diyan, dito papasok yung konsepto ng high politics mismo, high politics, okay. Yung issue sa environment, sa human rights mismo, at sa karapatan mismo ng mga developing countries, pinupunta na rin mismo sa low politics mismo. Okay? At hindi nila pinag-uusapan gaano yan. Ang pinag-uusapan nila, yung military issue nila mismo sa North Pole mismo, ay sa Arctic mismo. Okay? Na kahit naapektuhan na yung mga developing countries, sige pa rin sila ng sige mismo. Although nagkakaroon naman ng mga Arctic conferences dyan, nag-meeting pa rin naman yung mga yan dyan, class. Everyone know. Yun nga lang, nagiging all bark nga lang sila dyan. All bark lang sila dyan. Okay? Sa nangyayari. Kasi hindi pa rin kayang i-sacrifice ng mga bansa na yan yung kanilang interest mismo. Malaking puntos na naman para sa mga realists mismo, na para sa mga realists, yung international organization, hindi naman talaga siya independent or powerful. Sabi nga ni John Mearsheimer, John Mearsheimer isang sikat na foreign policy expert na nagsulat ng The Tragedy of the Great Power Politics, na isa sa mga founder mismo ng realism. Okay. Ayan. Yung mga international organization na yan ay extension lamang ng mga hegemons or extension lamang yan ng mga interest. O halimbawa na lamang ang United Nations, masasabihin ng ibang individual, ang United Nations ay independent talaga yan. Pero kung titingnan mo sa perspektibo ng realismo, ang UN talaga ay hindi naman talaga independent yan, independent of influence. In fact, maaaring extension lamang yan ng mga hegemons. Kasi kung titingin ka sa structure mismo ng UN, meron silang tinatawag na Security Council doon. At doon mo makikita kung gaano nagiging extension ng UN. Kasi sa Security Council, yung pinaka-core members nila, yung 5 bansa na yan, US, China, and Russia, and France, yan sila papasok mismo. Lahat sila, hindi sila makapag-come up ng consensus sa pinag-uusapan nila kasi each member, they have absolute veto, yung bawat isa sa kanila mismo dyan, na konting hindi lang pagsang-ayon ng isang bansa sa kanila, hindi na sila makakapag-come up ng decision making. Kaya nung nagpulong yung Security Council in response of Ukraine and Russia, wala ring nangyari. Okay? Kasi talagang bibito lang din talaga si Russia, bibito lang din talaga si China. Kasi mas nakikita niya further interest niya sa pakikipag-alay niya ngayon sa sa Russia mismo. Okay? So nagkakaroon ng Arctic Conference diyan, meeting ng mga iba't ibang international organizations, Yun nga lang nagiging all bark kasi nga malalakas na bansa din mismo yung kasali diyan. Okay, sa mga yan. So yung mga developing countries, they have less to say to this one. Okay, sa nangyayari diyan. Okay. All right. That's also one of the factors kung bakit may mga bansa na gustong umunlad at maging part ng hegemonic system mismo. Kasi pag naging parte ka ng hegemonic system mismo, mas meron kang incentive, no? Mas protektado ka, okay? At mas lalong hindi ka makakapitalize mismo ng ng bawat bansa for their influence mismo, no? Okay, maging opportunity ka lang mismo sa kanila mismo. Ayan. Okay. So ito na, no, yung kinasabi natin kanina. So hanggang saan nga ba talaga tayo dito ng mga progress natin or mga discovery natin? And right now by far this is mukhang pessimistic yung natin, no, yung nangyari sa atin ngayon. Kasi as the years goes by, no, okay, mas lumalala yung panahon natin ngayon because of this recent discovery mismo. And hindi pa rin kayang i-overcome mismo ng tao yung nature niya mismo as a inherently selfish individual. Okay? Ayan. So, the question right here is what can be done? No, what can be done sa nangyayari ngayon? Sir, wala po bang progress na nangyayari ngayon sa sa generation natin? Nagkakaroon naman ng progress, no? Kaya nga na-create yung sustainability development eh. What can be done, no? Well, first and foremost, no, ang napakaganda sa nangyari sa generation naman natin so far is kung titingnan natin yung sinasabi ni Samuel Huntington sa libro niya class na The Third Wave mismo, democratization in the late 20th century, yung nangyaring mga democratization sa generation natin ngayon. Okay, na kung saan yung mga bawat political system na dating pinamumunuan ng mga diktador, kagaya nila Hitler, nila Stalin, nila Mao Zedong, nila Pol Pot, nila Tito, with the exception of Pol Pot, no? Okay, nag-transition sila into democracy, or to be specific, liberal democracy. Most countries transition to liberal democracy. Some countries transition only as democracy. Magkaiba kasi yung liberal democracy sa democracy mismo eh. Ang isang bansa ay pwedeng maging demokrasya kasi may election siya. Yun yung napapademokrasya sa kanya. Ang isang bansa ay naging liberal democracy kasi maliban sa may election siya mismo, meron ding widening mismo ng political rights at civil rights mismo ng bawat tao, kaya siya tinatawag na liberal democracy. Okay, yung liberal doon mismo na term, it pertains to the political and civil rights mismo na nararamdaman natin. Philippines is an example of liberal democracy. Russia is an example of a democracy only since napaka-strong mismo ng presidente nila. Okay? At nakakakita tayo ng remnants mismo ng strongman leader sa kanila mismo, no? Okay, na hindi pa rin nalalayo kaila Boris Yeltsin, kaila Joseph Stalin, kaila Vladimir Lenin, etc. So, why am I saying this, no? Kasi nung nagkaroon ng democratization ng 20th century, maraming mga bansa ang nabigyan ng karapatan mismo sa bawat individual. Okay, na hindi na lang tungkol sa gobyerno dapat ang may say mismo sa destiny at tadhana mismo ng isang individual, na nabigyan ng oportunidad at kapasidad ng bawat tao na ibigay mismo yung mga sentimiento nila, okay, at magbigay ng pressure mismo sa kanilang government mismo. At marami nagawa ang mga tao, okay, na nakapagbabago mismo sa takbo mismo ng sistema nila mismo. Andiyan na mismo yung Black Rights Movement na pinangunahan ni Martin Luther King Jr., kung saan nakapagbigay mismo ng karapatan mismo sa mga Black Americans. Kung bakit nakakita kayo ng LeBron James at Chris Paul mismo sa NBA, andiyan na mismo yung Orange Revolution na nangyari. Okay, andiyan mismo yung revolution na nagpabagsak sa Berlin Wall sa pagitan ng East Germany at West Germany mismo. But the point right there, class, is the power of the people to make a change dito. Okay? The bottom-up approach na tinatawag natin. Pag sinabing bottom-up, magsisimula mismo ang pagbabago mismo doon mismo sa pinaka-root or pinaka-ugat mismo ng sistema. So the power of civil society dito sa lipunan natin. Okay? Ayan. Halimbawa na lamang yung nangyari, isa pang demonstration kung paano naging powerful mismo ang movement mismo ng tao. Okay? Kung titingin tayo sa nangyari sa Ukraine at sa ngayon sa Russia, kung paano ginamit ni Zelensky mismo yung kanyang soft power mismo dito, okay, para i-portray mismo yung image mismo ng Russia. Pag sinabi kasi natin soft power, ito yung capability mismo ng isang bansa na baguhin yung imahe niya, okay, sa tingin mismo ng ibang bansa, no? Ang Pilipinas malakas ang soft power natin. Pag sinabi din soft power, dito rin nasusukat mismo yung dami ng allies mismo ng isang bansa na pwedeng tumulong sa kanya mismo. Ang Pilipinas, hindi man tayo malakas sa hard power, which is pertaining to the military power, okay? Malakas ang Pilipinas sa soft power, no? Okay, kaya sa mga nagsasabi na hindi natin kaya ang China, maybe hard power, hindi natin kaya ang China, but in terms of soft power, in terms of alliances na meron tayo, okay, kayang-kaya natin sila i-maneuver. And Ukraine is a good example for us, no? Okay, kasi kung meron man dapat mas nakakaintindi sa pinagdadaanan ng mga Ukrainians ngayon, it's supposed to be the Philippines, no? Naiipit sila sa mga malalakas na bansa ngayon. And we also naiipit din tayo sa mga malalakas na bansa. Okay? Ayan. Okay? And paano papasok dito yung value ng democratization, yung value mismo, yung lakas mismo ng boses ng tao mismo, everyone. Kasi after nung pag-invade ng Russia, ni Putin mismo doon sa Ukraine mismo, nagkaroon ng massive movement coming from the Germany. There's a collective movement, a solidarity movement coming from different countries or different states mismo. Okay? Pinangunahan ng Germany, no? Kasi first and foremost, kung titingin ka sa kasaysayan ng Germany, alam nila mismo kung ano nangyari kapag pinamumuno ng diktador mismo ang isang bansa. And whenever they look at Vladimir Putin, it's actually reminding them of Adolf Hitler at some point. At hindi sila makamove on mismo kay Adolf Hitler. Okay? Kaya sila may pinakamadaming movement mismo, okay? Thousands of people, okay? Na nag-move mismo, na i-pressure mismo yung government nila na to stand in solidarity with Ukraine. And kung titingnan natin class everyone, sorry. Sasali ako sa class. Itingnan natin everyone, kung meron man talagang bansa na may pinaka-konektado or economic bed ties mismo ng Ukraine, ng Russia, okay, that's the Germany. Kasi yung natural gas na kinakailangan nila, karamihan doon nagagaling sa Russia. But what made Germany change its foreign policy at magpa-pressure sa mga European Union members niya? Kasi initially na nagkaroon ng deliberation yung European Union, reluctant pa sila Italy, reluctant pa mismo sila Germany na magbigay ng sanction mismo kay Russia mismo. But due to the partially to the pressure of the people itself, nagbago mismo yung himig mismo ng foreign policy ng Germany. Ayaw din naman nila ma-destabilize sila, so they have to listen to the people itself. Okay? And so what they did, nag-agree sila, they will impose sanction with Russia, and they also agree na magpadala mismo ng financial assistance to Ukraine. Okay, hindi nakakapalag ang Ukraine diyan hindi dahil sa malakas ang Ukraine, tatandaan niyo yan, no? Nakakapalag ang Ukraine diyan dahil sa suporta na binigay mismo ng mga iba't ibang bansa. Okay? Sa kanila. Yung paggamit mismo ni Zelensky ng soft power niya. There's something to learn with that, especially yung foreign policy natin ngayon. Okay? Ayan. So same also with climate change. The power of the people itself, the power of civil society. Ayan. Okay. Kasi isa sa pinaka-beneficial niyan is yung pag-create mismo ng powerful ideas na ginagawa ng bawat individual mismo. Sabi nga ng philosopher na si Francis Bacon, knowledge is power. Okay? A simple change comes from a basic simple idea. Yung demokrasya na tinatamasa natin ngayon, okay, tatandaan natin, nagsimula lang yan sa simpleng idea. Nagsimula lang yan sa simpleng idea ng mga classical philosophers, nila Aristotle, nila Cicero, nila Polybius, na sinigundahan mismo nila John Stuart Mill, nila John Locke, okay, na kinodified mismo ng founding fathers ng Americans na sila James Madison, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, yung nakikita nyo sa Mount Rushmore mismo, yung paggamit nila ng ideas mismo na kinrate mismo nila, John Locke mismo, para makapag-create ng konsepto ng liberal democracy. That's a manifestation ng sinasabi ni Francis Bacon that knowledge is power, no? That if you have that knowledge, no, and it can create that powerful idea, okay, then it could make a change, no? And climate change is like that, no? You just have to create a very powerful idea na mano-normalize mismo, okay, sa lipunan natin, okay, and that could be a good impact. Sabi nga, kung meron man tayong matututunan sa mga constructivists, no, kung meron man tayong matututunan sa mga constructivists mismo is the power of idea itself. Kasi ang tingin ng mga constructivists, wala naman talaga tayong permanent identity, permanent ideas. All things is constructed depending on the generation itself. And probably that the idea of climate change itself, no, is a product of constructivism. Okay, it's a product of a powerful idea na kinrate ng mga environmentalists, ng mga scientists, no, para mas mapansin mismo ng gobyerno mismo, ng bawat bansa mismo kung ano talaga yung nangyayari ngayon sa environment natin. Okay? And so that's the reason why these conferences started. Why UN conference in Rio de Janeiro started during the 1992. Why Kyoto Protocol started in 1997, and why Copenhagen started in 2009, and until now there are so many conferences na ginagawa ngayon, okay, because of that. That's simple, okay, creation of that idea of climate change, and this what happened, no? Napi-pressure sila mismo na magkaroon ng conferences mismo, and gumawa ng sangay pa even mismo doon sa United Nations mismo. Okay? Ayan. Right? So, in concluding sa sinasabi ko, Okay? Ito yung in concluding sa sinasabi ko, which is I go back to Hannah Arendt mismo. Okay? Na sinabi ko nga sa inyo na mukhang hindi tayo napunta sa magandang ano ngayon, sa magandang progress, magandang condition ng panahon natin ngayon. May sinabi si Hannah Arendt na very prophetic, no? Napaka-prescient niya ng sinabi niya mismo. Ito hindi niya directly hindi niya sinabi ito sa book niya na The Human Condition. That's the book, no? Na The Human Condition mismo. Sinabi niya to somewhere doon sa conference na mismo niya, na sinabi niya mismo. And sabi ni Hannah Arendt, which I want pabasahin ko muna, no? Sabi ni Hannah Arendt, we can also imagine that nuclear war, if it leaves any human life at all in its wake, could precipitate such a catastrophe by destroying the entire world. The reason human beings will then perish, however, is not themselves, no? But as always, the world, or better, the course of the world, over which they no longer have the mastery, from which they are so alienated that the automatic forces inherent in every process can proceed unchecked. At ito yung sinasabi ni Hannah Arendt, that we ought to consider what is happening right now. We ought to check kung ano na bang ginagawa natin ngayon. Kasi ang kinakatakot ni Hannah Arendt, baka dumating tayo sa time, kaya na kung saan, nakakuha tayo ng so much progress, but there's no turning back na sa ginagawa natin. And that itself is an inescapable dilemma or tragedy sa atin. And it could lead to the destruction mismo ng mundo natin. Hindi tayo hindi tayo mamamatay lahat dahil sa mawawala tayo sa mundo na to. No, it's because it will start with the destruction of the world. At yun yung nakikita natin ngayon sa panahon natin. Okay? Ayan. Yan lang. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir James Buama. So I really like the concluding remarks ni Sir James, especially the part where he explained how Hannah Arendt viewed yung ating system of yung pag-iisip na progress, at kapag yan ay hindi natin na-control, darating yung point na we have destroyed everything. All right. And thank you, Sir James, for imparting your wisdom to us, especially on how states think and interact. All right. Now, before we proceed with our final speaker, we will be moving to our announcement of the winners for our photo competition. Let me just share my screen for that. All right. So, this photo competition, and today we will announce who won the People's Choice Award, the second place and the first place. Right now, without further ado, let's move on. Here are our winners for People's Choice Award, who will receive 5,000 pesos and a certificate of recognition from BARD. We have EJ Moreno, The Lifeline, and for People's Choice Award. So ito yung kanyang piece. Okay. Next, for second place, or in second place, who will receive 10,000 pesos and a certificate of recognition from BARD, from Worldwide Teach-In. Our winner is Pay It Forward by Sheila May De Vera. Alright? No. Tama ba? No, this is the second prize. Sorry. Nano ko dun Miss Universe. Nadali ako ng slides. Anyway, so second place would be Cyril J. De Angel, Reflections. Okay. To clarify, the second place would be Reflections by Cyril J. De Angel. Sorry for that. Okay. The first place, or the grand prize, would be Pay It Forward by Sheila May De Vera. Okay, for first place, Sheila May De Vera will receive 15,000 pesos and a certificate of recognition from Worldwide Teach-In, Philippines, and BARD. Right, congratulations to all our winners. All right. Worldwide Teach-In Philippines will be in contact with you soon regarding your prize and your certificate. Again, congratulations. The team would also be posting publication materials regarding the works that our contestants produced. Okay, now let's move on to our to the next part of our program before our open forum. Our last speaker would be Leslie Ann Villanueva. Okay, Leslie Ann Villanueva, or L, is a fourth-year international studies student in Miriam College. Over the past years, she has been passionate in volunteering and leadership to promote her advocacies online and offline. To hone her skills in diplomacy, she joins different Model United Nations and other diplomatic conferences locally and internationally. In terms of her advocacy in gender, she's a former internal vice president and consecutively became a former president of CEDAW Youth, Miriam College, and being a member in the present time. She was also one of the pioneer interns under Cities for CEDAW, and an organization based in Los Angeles that promotes the localization of CEDAW in different cities of America. Okay, let us all welcome Miss Leslie Ann Villanueva. Leslie, or L, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sir Elec. Can you see and hear me po ba? Ayan. Kita na po ba ako?
Yes po.
Ayan. Thank you, sir. Ayan. So, isang makakalikasang gabi sa lahat. So, ayun. Thank you for that introduction, Sir Elec. You can call me El. And yun nga, I'm taking up international studies in Miriam College. And my presentation will be all about the intersectionality of climate change and feminism. So, I'll just wait for the screen to be shared. Sino pong magsi-screen share ng presentation ko? Sir Elec, will you share po ba?
Okay, just give me a minute.
Alright, sir. So ayun, as we wait, I just wanted to say a happy Women's Month to all feminists here, to all women out here. It's the last few hours of March, so I'll be ending this day talking about my two favorite advocacies. So as mentioned, I'll be focusing more on the feminist or the gender perspective, given that it is a Women's Month. So as a feminist, I think that it is just relevant to discuss how the topics of climate change and gender justice are intersectional with each other and also other things. So before we start, habang nagsiset up pa sila, I just wanted to be connected with you folks. So can you type in the chat box your courses or the field that you're knowledgeable with? I was told na majority dito is med tech and nursing, but I just wanted to know, to confirm, baka kasi may iba din. Because I wanted to know yung kahit wag kayong pwede yung wag kayong mag-direct message sa akin, address ko to everyone. Nare-receive ko para alam din ng lahat. So para lang din, I just wanted to know yung mga fields nyo para i-try kong isama sa presentation ko para maging relatable, because as we all know, international studies or international relations, kung nakita niyo yung previous presentation kanina, it's very technical, it's very academic, masyadong maraming technicalities. Ay, wala pa lang for everyone option. Okay. Sige, that's all right. Sayang. So, ang daming science-related field. Okay. So, may econ, shout out. May hospitality management ata to. Tapos, nursing, medtech, pharmacy. Okay. Nice. Okay, sige. So, I'll be focusing on the economic and med field. So, kahinaan ko yan parehas, but I'll be trying my best. So, what's your main advocacy? I just wanted to know, what's your main advocacy? So, because I'll try my best to be not too academic, since nagawa na ni Sir James yon. Educator siya, so alam niya na yon, diba? Very academic and very technical. So natutunan talaga natin kung anong meron sa buong mundo. Thanks, Sir James. So I would not be too heavy as well na din para hindi information overload. So, ayan, chat na lang yung mga advocacy nyo para we can, because I just wanted to take a gender approach then to your main advocacies para relatable naman, para yung mga learnings natin from Sir Ilek and Sir James ma-apply natin after this webinar. So ayan. So also before I start, I just wanted to say na gender approach, gender perspective, and feminism will be interchangeable in this presentation. So let's proceed. Next slide, please. Ayan. So before we start, let's just define what is climate justice. So is climate change a gender issue? Of course, yes. Definitely yes. With already existing gender inequalities, women and children get more affected. Climate change, as they say, is a quote-unquote threat multiplier, and it exacerbates the risks of gender-based violence. And climate justice, it's technically just that. Climate justice exposes the social inequities and inequalities that happens when climate change is progressing. So, of course, it's not just about the physical aspects of climate change na mas maraming typhoons, rising sea levels and everything. It's not just that. So it's also a human and political crisis, and the challenges of the environment also influences our current humanitarian issues. So for this presentation, I'll be focusing on the gender perspective. So next slide po. According to the UN Women, this crisis is not gender neutral, meaning the effects of climate change is disproportionately affects women. So women and children are more vulnerable, which is amplified by the existing inequalities happening. So it is not just about the disaster and its impact to the environment, but it also affects our livelihoods, our health, and safety. So allow me to give some examples para mas magets natin. So next slide. So ayan. So during disasters, women are less likely to survive due to the already disparity information that's happening. So mas madalas kasi, especially in countries like Africa, education or training about disaster risks management are mostly given to the house providers, which is typically the man. Sa context nila. Also, there's a disparity in education between men and women because women are more associated with the gender role of being at home, of taking care of the kids. So, madalas, bata pa lang sila, mas priority na pag-aralin yung mga batang lalaki or the father in the house, they have the more education than the women. So, this affects as time goes by when they get older. Because since the father and the man have the authority, they are the decision makers in the house. Women have less economic capability and skills to be more prepared in time of disasters. So this also affects their decision making. So mas madaming alam technically yung lalaki or the father that has the authority of the house kasi they have the information, they are trained, they have given education, they have given information about it. And of course, the woman without the education, without the training and everything, they're just learning from their husbands. So ayun. So what is the connection, diba? This small unit of society significantly affects how the young children will be conditioned to the society. So another example is that women is naturally more dependent on nature. So I'll speak as a woman now. We have monthly menstruation. Women is the one that gets pregnant. Their physically body is even more important when the babies are born kasi women get to breastfeed, they need to take care of their kids, and they need to be well to ensure that the child survives with enough food, with enough water, and enough basic necessities to ensure their safety and security. So aside from that, let's get more technical to healthcare, diba? Aside from that is reproductive healthcare, diba? Reproductive health in women is increasing in terms of the existing complication. So such as PCOS, endometriosis, endometriosis, and other things. So alam ko maraming nursing and medtech sa inyo. So I'll assume na mas marami kayong alam na reproductive health disorders, illnesses, diseases. Ano bang tamang term? So ayun. I'm I'm open to correction, but ayun. So 'di ba mas maraming sakit na ngayon, mas maraming complications na sa babae ngayon with that is connected to climate. So I'm not familiar with the technicalities and jargon sa med field, but I know na you folks are knowledgeable with this. So aside from that, of course, with the existing complications, sexual health medicines such as pills and other contraceptions affect the production. So as someone na may PCOS, we are dependent sa pills and of course, proper food, proper diet, and proper environment. And if climate change affects the food supply, women like me, mothers, children will be needing more resources to be healthy. Kasi if not, our sickness or our complication would just lead to more sickness. So hindi kami gagaling and our hormones would not be as regulated compared to healthy woman. Ayun. So these factors, it instigates gender-based violence. So ang laking word naman na, no? Parang hindi ka lang nakainom ng gamot na instigate na yung gender-based violence. So allow me to explain na yung gender-based violence, it's not just about the physical aspect na may mga babaeng nabubugbog or whatnot, but it's also about the systemic discrimination of being a woman. So allow me to give examples, diba? At times like this, women are more vulnerable. There are statistics shown by the UN Women that domestic violence increases when there is drought in East Africa. In these countries where child marriage is a norm, children are used as sex trafficking instruments to survive. Kasi aside from the environmental impacts of climate change, it also affects our economic stability. Kung i-localize natin siya sa context natin, we can experience na, di ba kapag binaha tayo, our home gets to nadadamage yung bahay natin. So, kailangan natin maglinis, kailangan natin bumili ng bagong appliances, yung mga books natin, binabaha. So, ayan. So when our home gets destructed, we need to focus on repairs. If we are injured, we need to heal, which affects our livelihood. Diba? Hindi tayo makapasok sa trabaho kasi we're focusing to be healed, diba? Pag nagkasakit tayo due to, for example, diba, pag binahan, nagkaka-leptospirosis and all. So, it affects our financial sources. So, ganun din sa kanila. For example, in Africa, when disasters happen, men or the authoritative representative of the family tend to move to the city or urban areas to get more high-paying job. So, relating this to the Philippines, yung mga nasa probinsya, pumupunta sila dito sa Manila. So, kung wala yung lalaki doon sa household, the one that would be in charge will be the wives and partners. Dito sa Philippines, mas progressive kasi. Mas progressive na ang system natin in terms of gender equality. But in other countries such as Africa, hindi ganito yung situation. When male representatives get to the cities, wives and partners are left in their lands and properties. So women get to be in charge. Is this a good thing? Not really. Kasi women do not have the legal rights to maintain or to handle the lands that they have. So when conflicts happen, ano mangyayari? They do not have the voice or any medium to address the challenges they currently have. So this is not much experience in our personal lives. Kasi, for example, if umalis yung tatay natin or yung kuya natin, we get to clean the house, we get to pay the taxes or anything. But sa indigenous people natin, ganito din yung very similar yung environment na nangyayari sa kanila. We're just privileged not to experience it, but it's happening to our country as well. So for example, ayun nga, wala silang sa kanila yon yung land na yon habang wala yung asawa nila. Pero when conflicts happen, anong mangyayari? They do not get to address these conflicts kasi ang sasabihin lang naman ng mga andon is, nasan ba yung asawa mo? Where's your husband? Where is your son? Paano kung yung son mo is just a toddler? How they can decide for the household, diba? So, ayun. It's just one of the sad things that's happening due to climate change. So, mababaw pa lang yan. So, next slide. Ayan. So, ayan, thank you. So, we can see that social injustices increase when climate change is not addressed. This is why inclusivity is important in policies and programs. Because if not, the gap of inequalities will just get worse. Because only selected people from a certain background and status have the benefits. Sabi nga, nagkakaroon pa din ng systemic discrimination just because you're a woman. In labor force, kahit nga dito sa Philippines, mas madami pa din ang lalaking nakakapagtrabaho. And this also affects not just the women, but also the other genders. Transgenders, lesbians, and other genders are affected by this because they are discriminated just because they're out of the heteronormative mindset na man and woman. So, ganon. So, another thing that's happening in real life is that while women and girls are more affected, women and girls are the least presented. Let me just share some of the personal experiences that I have learned. So, in the diplomacy field, sobrang dominant. Na kahit students pa lang, mas marami talagang lalaki. Mas pagka pumupunta ka sa isang event, hindi talaga proportional yung speakers na mas madaming lalaki kaysa sa babae. Or kahit mga ibang genders. Kasi feminism is not just about men and women. I'll explain more to that later, but let's just focus on gender approach muna. So, on the patriarchy. So, mas marami talagang lalaki sa IR, which is International Relations, and International Studies, which is IS. So, this is more than the case kapag ka nasa field na mismo. If you would see sa UN or kahit sa mga diplomats natin dito sa Philippines, mas maraming lalaki kaysa sa babae. So, I remember one ambassador shared, her name is Ambassador Marcela Ordonez. So, I met her in one of the conferences I have attended last year. So, you can search her, and she's the ambassador of Colombia to the Philippines. And Amba Marcela shared her experiences that she felt as a woman and as a diplomat. So, and in her past experiences, napagkakamalan siyang partner of the ambassador or minsan assistant of the ambassador, because when you meet an ambassador, there are certain protocols. So, there's a certain greeting sa ambassador mismo, there is a certain greeting and even address, how would you address them? There's a certain protocol on how to greet the ambassador, the assistant, the partner, the kids, the family. So, may mga iba't ibang protocol yan. So, mas napagkakamalan siyang either partner or assistant, which just states na talagang may internal misogynistic mindset in the field of diplomacy because of that. In other cases naman, some women represents women, but women are misrepresented. Remember, not all women are feminists and not all women are pro-women. So even though that we have women leaders or women in the diplomacy or in the different fields, if they have misogynistic tendencies, we are misrepresented. So this just leads to humanitarian programs that reinforces patriarchy. So next slide, please. Ayan. So let us all remember, feminists also use the peace approach. So ano ba yung peace approach na to? Ano ba ibig sabihin na to? Feminists do not also resort to violence. Personally, this is my advocacy too as a peace studies student. That's one of my minor subjects. So no matter how war justifies the end, violence also exacerbates the current situation of conflict and climate change. Alam ko na-discuss to kanina ni Sir James kanina. Ano bang kinalaman ng nuclear weapons sa climate change na yan? We all know na how harmful nuclear weapons and even yung mga normal weapons like arms, kaya meron tayong sinasabing nuclear weapon and disarmament kasi it's something na it's very rampant and it's very harmful to the environment. Meron ng resolutions about it na nuclear weapons are prohibited, but of course, as Sir James have said, UN is not really legally binding. So it's more of an agreement. So when tensions come, when conflicts between countries come and they resort to nuclear weapons and everything, we would be severely affected. Kahit sila lang yung magkaaway. And these weapons leads to tensions which can affect the environment. So hindi lang siya basta-basta na rising sea levels, natutunaw na yung ice natin and all, but it's a systemic injustice na it's a very broad topic when it comes to climate justice. So in addressing structural change, we are advocating for and working towards equality of all kinds. Women are agents of change. So if we have the equal access to decision-making opportunities, we get to have more sustainable decisions. So for example, diba, as I have said, here in the Philippines, Philippines is one of the most progressive in terms of gender equality. And this is because, as na kwento nga ni Sir kanina, we have CEDAW. So CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination and the Discrimination of all forms of violence against women. So Philippines ratified this resolution. Sabi ko, di ako magiging technical, but this is one of the UN resolutions that Philippines has signed. So ano ba tong CEDAW na to? CEDAW talks about eliminating discrimination against women. So all forms of discrimination. So it is not just about domestic violence or equal opportunities of livelihood. It's everything. It's integrating every aspect of our political challenges or political advocacies or social advocacies with gender. Diba? The impact is not just at the policy level, but we get to have the actions, the programs, and policy in a gender-sensitive way. So, mas aanahin ka na lang to sa conclusion mamaya. Pero, feminism is not just for women. It's for all genders. We are all victims of gender stereotypes. Remember, when there's gender stereotypes, laging kahit lalaki na nagiging victim of this mindset. One of the simplest example is that, but when house husbands are not working, ba't di ka nagtatrabaho? Dapat ikaw yung nagtatrabaho, ikaw yung provider. Bakit yung asawa mo yung nagtatrabaho? That's just one of the things how men are also affected by this. Men cannot express their own selves kasi pag out of the norms, they get to be discriminated. Or napagkakamalan silang bakla. And bakla is not an insult. Pero, nagiging ganon because of gender stereotypes. When you're feminine, when a woman is masculine, tomboy to. Or pagka malamya yung lalaki, bakla to. Diba? Which should not be the case, diba? Ang daming nangyayari na just because we overlook the gender approach, napupunta na rin siya sa mga social injustices. Diba? So that's how intersectional and influential climate justice and gender approaches. Talagang magkasama silang dalawa. So ayun, next slide please. So ayan. So as I have said kanina, diba, the impact is not just at the policy level, but it all boils down to the home. When there are climate policies that includes women, we get to be more confident to speak up. We get to initiate discussions, and these problems about women are happening. And this is talked about by women themselves. Hindi lang basta mga lalaki na hindi familiar sa PCOS or hindi familiar sa pregnancy or hindi familiar sa mga sa sexual education, diba? We get to initiate discussion, and discussion is very important. If women's rights did not progress here in the Philippines or even in the other areas of the world, it is more likely na baka hindi ako nagsasalita dito ngayon. Baka a man is a representative of all women, diba? And I'm not against for those women, of course, na feminist. But of course, syempre, iba pa din talaga yung halaga when there's a first-hand experience of women that is considered in the decision-making processes. So yeah, the meaningful, informed, and effective participation of women and girls with diverse backgrounds in relevant decision-making processes comes from a strong foundation of a rights-based, gender-responsive, gender-sensitive approach to climate action. So this gender approach is not only a legal thing or an ethical or moral obligation, but it will also contribute to a more effective climate action. So when decision-making processes is more inclusive, there would be more research conducted, diba? And when there's more research conducted about this, we gain gender understanding. We have a deeper understanding of how important gender is on the decision-making processes. We have gender analysis, implementation, and evaluation. And as of right now, there are various institutions that were established due to this. Hindi lang UN Women, pero may CSW tayo. And we have our own women organization here in the Philippines. Like for example, yun nga, Sidaw Youth, which is, it's an organization in Miriam College. So shout out sa mga kung may taga-MC man dyan, or ISOC. For sure, alam nila yung Sidaw. And we're trying to spread the word of Sidaw kasi it's the main basis of our women's rights in the Philippines. Kaya may RA 9262, kaya merong laws about domestic violence and labor, kaya may mga maternal leave, and ngayon yung controversial na menstrual leave. Kaya may mga ganyang discussions. It's because women are included sa decision-making process. While there's a misrepresentation, we're on progress, diba? Diba, mabagal yung progress natin eh. May mga inequalities pa din naman eh. Pero I do not invalidate the progress that we have right now. And all credits to Sidaw kasi yun talaga yung naging basis natin on why women's rights are here today. Ayan. So to end this presentation, next slide please. So basically, integrating gender improves the quality of life because it ensures that climate action is inclusive. It is not just about advocating the policies that should be there, but also establishing people-oriented institutions that is sustainable, equitable, and effective. To end this presentation, I just wanted to say that feminism is not just about the woman. As I have said, even men and other genders are victims because of gender stereotypes, because of patriarchy. Men and women, all of the genders, cannot express themselves without gender justice and without breaking down the stereotypes, diba? Women would get more affected by this. Sana in the future, hindi na, diba? Pero inequality is, sabi nga nila, all inequalities are not equally made. So we would really need to be aware na climate justice and feminism intersect with each other because feminism promotes humanitarian programs and progress na not just for women but for all people. Na these things are happening, it is not just about the tensions or the political agenda, but of course the wellness of all the people, of all the civilians, of all the children, of all the indigenous people. Kasi if may gender discrimination na nangyayari, talagang inequalities will stay as inequalities. 'Di ba? For example, sa IP, 'di ba? Kung sa IP, not just here in the Philippines pero may mga ano din, may mga tribes din on the other side of the world, other countries na yung child trafficking, sex child trafficking, it's very rampant pa din hanggang ngayon. Genital mutilation where women na-mutilate yung mga genitals nila kasi normal sa kanila yon. But it affects our human rights. So, ganun din sa atin. As long as na merong inequalities na nangyayari, hindi siya a them problem or the unfortunate other. We are all affected by this. So, ayun. Kaya, sana maano natin siya na intersectional feminism, as we call, is about fighting for women's rights and of course fighting for systemic discrimination, but as well as the wellness and sustainability that in the home that we live in. So ayan, thank you for listening and we'll be open for the next question or for the question and answer portion. Passing the floor to Sir Alec. Thank you po for listening.
All right. Thank you very much, El. Sobrang insightful discussion. No? So using the approach, yung gender based approach. No? Right. I really like the idea that there is actually intersectionality with climate, with the idea of gender. Yan yung mga bagay na hindi talaga hindi usual, no? Hindi talaga yan usual na mainstream eh. When we talk about climate change, it is never pa siguro tayo nakarinig na related yan into a certain gender, no? And actually there are connections with that. Okay, at this point we will be moving to the last part of our program, and that would be the open forum. So the open forum is now open. So if you have any questions, you may put them in our chat box. Now, since open forum ito, I asked Sir Buama pala to open his camera as well. Yeah, thank you, Sir James. So since open forum siya, you are also welcome to manifest, to voice out your opinions, to even answer the questions if you have any ideas about it. Okay? So, of course, you are welcome to ask questions regarding the presentation of Sir James and El. If you have also questions about my presentation, yung ating introduction, that's also, of course, welcome. Right? So do we have any questions? Okay, who wants to start? All right. So let's move to the first question. I think this question can be addressed to Sir Buama. Should be addressed to Sir Buama, but of course, if you have an answer of also. Nuclear energy is considered as renewable and clean energy source. Do you think that the Philippines should venture or invest to it?
Not right now. Not right now. Okay, I think that's a very timely question, especially right now that BBM is the president of the Philippines right now. So meron ngayon ng movement na kumubuhay may Bataan Power Plant right now. Yeah, that's a very good venture, no. Napaka napaka-economically ano niya no, ano ba 'to, profitable para sa atin. Pero sabi ko nga sa mga nakaraan kong ano, kasi nakaraan kong sa mga estudyante ko, sa mga nakaraan din tanong sa akin about it 'no. Okay, at we have to remember the Chernobyl. Matapit to Chernobyl sa Ukraine mismo, nagkaroon ng Chernobyl explosion mismo. And ang kinakatakot kasi natin dito is pag hindi na manage na maayos yung ating possible na nuclear energy or power plant mismo is maaaring apektado tayo lahat diyan and mangyari sa atin yung Chernobyl tragedy mismo. Okay? And the thing here is bakit hindi ngayon? Kasi nga hindi naman unang-una sa lahat hindi okay yung ating disaster management mismo. Okay? At hindi tayo katulad ng Japan mismo. Okay? Ang Japan meron silang maliit na bansa sila. And kung titingnan nyo, nasa Pacific Rim of Fire sila, no? Pero meron silang nuclear power plant, no? Nuclear energy. Pero ang Japan kasi politically stable sila, economically stable sila. If you still remember the tsunami incident, okay? And yung after na yung radiation din sa kanila mismo, naka-recover kagad sila ng ilang buwan. Sa case natin, ang tagal natin maka-recover. Simpleng disaster nga lang, di pa tayo maka-recover maka-recover kaagad, no? Okay. Ayan. So, delikado rin siya geographically speaking since parte tayo ng Pacific Ring of Fire. So, pag sinabi Pacific Ring of Fire, sentro tayo ng mga volcanic eruptions at yung earthquake. I'm not saying na wag talaga tayo mag-venture sa nuclear energy. Not right now. Okay, we have to stabilize further yung ating disaster management forces. Okay, at i-stabilize yung ating politika at ekonomiya bago tayo mag-venture diyan mismo. Ayun.
Thank you, Sir James. Miss Les, any addition?
Sige, sir, ako din. So, as I have said, diba, we discussed the nuclear weapons kanina. So, bakit then, ako kasi, huwag kayong magalit sa akin, charot. Pero, I am, hindi naman sa against sa nuclear energy, but there are a lot of alternatives na less yung risk, but have the same benefits. For me kasi, it outweighs the disadvantages of nuclear energy, sorry. Nuclear energy. And I think Sir Alec has the same sentiments na ang daming kailangang process to ensure the safety of nuclear energy na okay siya. Kasi we're archipelagic country. So, may floods and all. And kapag nabasayan sa sabog yan, we're very affected by that. And alam naman na natin anong mangyayari kapag sumabog yan or nagkaroon ng issues about it. Kasi ang nuclear power plants, kailangan nasa isang isolated area yan. Wherein, yung mga taong andon, they're also exposed to radiation and nuclear, which is harmful to them then. Actually, mas okay na yung mga renewable energy like solar panels and everything. And actually, may mga friends na yung bahay nila may solar panel. And hindi ko siya kaya, of course. Mahal kasi siya sa una. Kasi you would need to buy solar panels na kailangan mo sa bahay mo. 'Di ba? May certain watts yan and everything. But alam nyo ba, share ko lang, yung binabayaran nila sa Meralco, parang 20 lang yata. 20 pesos lang, minsan 10 pesos per month. So, di ba, isipin mo, sobrang mura niya. And what more, kapag yun ang programs ng in-establish ng not just the government, but the businesses. Ang dami nating business establishments, like yung skyscrapers talaga yung buildings. And tropical country tayo. Mainit sa atin. So, very beneficial sa atin to kasi ang solar panel or solar power, hindi lang basta araw yung kailangan niya. Basta mainit. Yun na yun. You'll get energy from there. So, kahit gabi, it is possible. Lalo na ngayon, di ba, ang init tuwing gabi. So, nagiging benefit pa natin yung disadvantages natin ngayon. And that may help then to alleviate, hindi siya majorly effects, pero it would help to alleviate the heat then as well. Kasi nga, kinukuha na siya ng solar panel. So, yun lang yung for me. I really think there are more beneficial ways to do it rather than resorting to nuclear energy kasi it's very expensive and it outweighs the benefits. Ayun for me, sir.
Thank you very much, El. Right. Uh, in manifestation to the answer of Sir James and Miss El, no, ang nuclear energy is actually clean and renewable in terms of its kind, no, but well, in terms of the context of the Philippines, it's highly impractical because yun nga sabi ni Les, no, totoo yun. Ang pinaka-applicable sa atin is solar. Pangalawa is geothermal because of our geographic makeup and our topography in general. Okay? So yan ay, kumbaga, ang nuclear is impractical for us to build. Bakit ba binild yan ng ibang nations? Because they do not have the blessings of natural resources like we do. No, wala sa kanila yon. Sa atin, malakas tayo sa geothermal because we are under the Pacific Ring of Fire and all that. Mas mura na rin ang solar ngayon in terms of investment. Mura na siya, cheaper than it is 10 years back. Right? So with that, and also, yung ating pagtayo ng nuclear is kind of political. Kaya lang naman na-open yan, it's because of politics. Aminin man ninyo o hindi. No, napag-usapan lang yan at marami may gusto niyan, it's because of it is named and branded by the Marcoses. No, at yung mga supporter ng Marcos, gusto lang nila na nuclear, yung Bataan buksan, not really to help us, but really to support the partisanship na yung talagang binano nila. Diba? So anyway, so thank you for that question. We also have another question here. So it's regarding it's regarding feminism. So I think this should be addressed to Ms. L. How can feminism help solve international tensions? Do you think that we have or we would have better policies, international policies siguro, if there are more women leaders and ambassadors?
Okay,
Nakuha ba natin?
Yes,
Or
sir,
ulitin
sir.
ko? Okay, good.
Okay na, sir. So, ayan. Thank you very much for this question. Medyo hinihintay ko to. Kasi, women in peacekeeping, alam nyo ba, based on the information of United Nations, mas maraming peacekeepers na babae ang nakakapag-negotiate successfully kaysa sa lalaki. So, siguro, I don't want to make any gender stereotypes, pero kasi women are more firm, but also willing to compromise when it comes to negotiations and peacekeepings. In the past decades, women have a significant role in peacekeeping. And kasi I think that women are more in the humanitarian aspect when they try to discuss with other countries and promoting women's rights, human rights, and political rights instead of depending to war, ganyan. They are really more and mas malawak yung siguro it's on our natural environment. Now we tend to be more caring because we have this hormone now. Alam mo yun, we need to take care of something like a child. Ganyan. We have maternal instinct. Ayun. Yun yung tamang term. We have maternal instinct. Now we tend to take care more of the wellness and beings of the people around us. And it's not just about the objectives that we have. And men do not have that. They do not have, yun yung unique sa babae. May anak ka man or wala. Gusto mo man magkaanak or wala. We have that maternal instinct to not really be emotional, but use our brains and hearts in balance of things. Hindi lang siya pwedeng, kailangan natin ito ma-resolve. Kailangan natin manalo. hindi siya ganun. Kailangan natin maging okay. Yun ang setting natin kaysa sa lalaki. So, ayun, yun yung for me. Kaya, very important. And ito pala, may isa pa pala, sorry, naisip ko lang siya bigla. We have experiences na very unique compared sa mga lalaki. We experience menstruations, we experience pregnancies, we experience not everyone experience pregnancies, but we have the monthly experiences na lahat tayo naka-experience. Di ba we all get to have menstruations and reproductive health issues and struggles na hindi na-experience ng lalaki. So we need to have those in things, kahit sa peacekeeping, kailangan natin yon. Kasi paano yung mga babaeng kailangan nila ng access to napkins or pads or whatever na ma-address yung menstruation struggles nila monthly na may war na nangyayari or any conflict na nangyayari. Kailangan din natin yung aspect na yun. Kaya gender perspective is very important. Kasi kung ang sasabihin nyo lang is basic necessities na kailangan natin ng food security, kailangan natin ng shelter, ng clothes, paano yung menstruation? Paano yung mga taong dependent sa birth control pills? Diba? Actually, yan din ang pinag-aaralan ni MC, ni Miriam College, sa mga places natin here in the Philippines, like sa Mindanao. They go there to study about the contraceptions and sexual lives of the people there sa Ground Zero na nasa temporary shelter ngayon, na paano sila nakakapag-intimate time with their partners, na nasa place sila na lahat nandun, kasama nila yung mga kapitbahay nila dati, ganyan. So, it really affects, it's not just the physical, but also the mental and psychological needs na kailangan natin. Ayun.
Alright, well said. Okay, it's good to to answer those kinds of questions with syempre, I think we're talking about feminine values here in incorporation with a greater topic that we have at hand, which is international issues like climate change. All right. Any bits of ideas, Sir James, about it?
Ilang isa yung dugtungan lang sinabi ni Leslie, no? The cliche, hindi kaya nagkakagera sa Ukraine at sa Russia is dahil sa pagkalalaki ni Putin at ni Zelensky mismo, yung pagiging egotistical nilang dalawa. Nagpapataasan ng ihi yung dalawang lalaki, no? Kaya marahil ay ganun. Alam niyo, ang hirap kasi magsalita pagdating sa values ng babae at values ng lalaki kasi madali tayong maka-cancel dito, no? But the thing here is, if you're gonna listen sa isang famous na Canadian philosopher, professor na si Jordan Peterson mismo, no? Nakapagbigay siya ng magandang datos that there's a general characteristic talaga pagdating sa babae at sa lalaki mismo. Ang problema kasi sa lipunan natin, yung tinatawag natin na heteropatriarchal tendency mismo. Kaya yung heteropatriarchal tendency na it further dichotomize yung babae at lalaki at binivalorize mismo yung value mismo ng lalaki mismo sa lipunan natin. That yung values ng babae na general pattern niya, such as yung pagiging caring niya, yung maternal instinct niya, ginagawa siyang subjected value. Okay, na ang mataas dapat yung values ng lalaki dapat. Well, in fact, yung pagiging characteristic ng babae na maternal instinct, pagiging gentle, pagiging caring, that could be an advantage, no? Just try to imagine, no? Just hypothetical, imagination, hypothetical lang, no? Just what if yung leader ng Ukraine at ng Russia ay isang babae? Magkakaroon kaya ng gera kagaya ng gantong conflict, o baka yung maternal instinct nila ng pagiging communicative and diplomatic at some way, ang pagiging gentle mismo is biglang manaig mismo sa kanila. Instead na mag-invade muna silang dalawa, is mag-diplomatic muna sila dito na, hey, may anak din ako, kung may anak man sila, may anak din ako, at ang unang pinaka-naiipit sa gera, alam nila mismo yan ay yung mga babae at mga bata mismo. Kaya marahil ay ganun mismo, no? So, kung malaking tulong yan to alleviate mismo a more military and political tension ngayon. So, ginagawa to ng Canada, ang ganda ng composition ng cabinet ng Canada actually, no? Pag tumingin kayo sa composition ng cabinet ng Canada, 50% of them ay women mismo, yung scientists nila mismo. And it's a very good composition kasi pinapakita ng Canada mismo that political leadership, it's not about exclusively for men. Okay? 'Di ba? Hindi siya exclusively for men. Pinapatunayan nila na babae yan, kaya kayang-kayang mamuno mismo sa sistema mismo, sa sistema political mismo. At tingnan natin ang Canada, ang undan ng Canada ngayon. Okay? So maybe more political representation sa mga babae. Let's give them a chance kasi sa kasaysayan karamihan na puro mga lalaki yung nauupo eh. Wider participation sa kanya, sabi nga kumbaga pwede tayo makakuha sa value ng mga first wave feminist na pinangunahan ni Mary Wollstonecraft, no? Na yung mga liberal feminist, no? Na maaaring ang sagot dito is more representation sa mga kababaihan mismo. Okay? Ayun. Sige, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir James. Okay, we have a question from Facebook. Can I ask po why we are targeting this type of learning at the college level instead of starting early and giving this education to younger students, specifically high schoolers? Since this is somewhat quintessential to their full point of view regarding climate and how it affects them personally. So, asking permission to both our speakers to answer this first. Okay, and I'll give you the chance to answer din po. So, as the spearhead of this event, the reason why we are targeting college students regarding this topic is, number one, this topic is highly technical for the level of high schoolers. We are talking about international relations. We are talking about the state. Actually, when we say state, I have this kind of at the back of my head that assumption that most of you knows the difference of a state with a nation. And when I use the term state, no, that when I use the term power rather, you know what it means. No? Kailangan yung ganong klase ng level. No? But just to agree with you, no, in agreement with you, to affirm your point, yes, it is actually necessary for young people to be open with these discussions as well. In fact, we will be having a teach-in with one of our high schools, no, contact namin, no, from Rodriguez Rizal. So they would be having their teach-in, but of course, the topic would be on their level. No? Of course, mayroon tayong different learning curves and different topics na naayon doon sa age and doon sa maturity ng ating mga participants. So these kinds of talks, I believe, no, is for at least senior high school to college level. Okay, to have that certain kind of understanding of what we are talking about here. No, let me give you a hypothetical case. No, when I speak of feminism to a grade 7 student, no, what would be the difference of that if I talk to about feminism, international relations to a college student? Diba? So that I hope that answers that very great question that you have. How about Ms. Les and Sir James? Do you have any other ideas?
Sige, sir. Ako, mabilis lang. For me, kaya I think kasi hindi natin pwede agad-agad na, okay, sige, high schoolers agad. Progress or these steps does not happen overnight. So, kailangan natin dahan-dahanan yan. And I agree with Sir Alec. I think this is topics like this is too technical. But I assure you then na the Worldwide Teach-In Philippines also targets the high school. Pero with a more specific topic na mas akma sa audience. Kumbaga may target audience yung bawat topic natin. Hindi natin pwedeng pag-usapan kaagad yung technicalities ng IR sa isang high school student. Kasi ako, kahit na gusto ko yung IS, yan talaga yung gusto ko ever since na nag-grade 7 ako. Pag sinasabi ko yung IS sa mga kaklase ko dati, wow, international, ano yun? And hanggang ngayon, actually, ang dami kong tita, tito, kuya, ate, na pag sinasabi ko yung international studies, hindi nila alam yun. Unless their course is connected sa IS. Like, for example, political science, legal management, economics, or statistics. Kasi IS, sakop ng IS yan eh. Alam nila yon. Pero kapag sinabi mo siya sa isang tao na hindi naman yun yung field nila, they do not know IS or international relations at all. Alam lang nila may UN. Pero minsan hindi rin nila alam na may UN. Ano yun? Alam lang nila yung United Nations Day na magsusuot ka ng costume ng bansa. Kasi yun yung mga ginagawa sa mga high schools, di ba? Magsusuot ka ng costume or national costume na isang bansa. Tapos UN, di ba? Pero UN is more about that, di ba? Kumbaga, there's a certain degree or certain topics na for college students and for high school. So, it's something, it's a work in progress. We're trying to cater as many people as possible. Pero we cannot do this instantly na high school agad. Ayun, for me.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Liz. Okay. Now let's go talk and move on to our last question for tonight. Okay. For our last question, I would like to invite one of my former colleagues in Our Lady of Fatima University, Sir Adrian Joseph Ferrer, to post his question. I believe this is more directed to Sir James Buama.
Hello po, good evening sa lahat. Narinig po ako.
Yes, sir.
Ayun. Actually, this question is, ina-ask ko na kay Sir Alec. Kasi I've been reading a lot of articles recently, or rather this past few months, regarding to the shift ng paggamit natin ng fossil fuels to electric vehicle or usage of battery. Kaso, based sa mga binasa ko and may conclusion, we're facing a bigger problem doon sa paggamit ng battery natin, which is yung lithium battery. So, limited lang kasi yung may limited lang yung may recycling facilities regarding sa lithium battery. So, I don't know kung sino yung sasagot po sa inyo nito. What do you think will be the best way sa Pilipinas para sa problem na ito? Kasi as of now, yung Laguna and other part of Batangas ay natatambakan ng lithium battery, and yung tubig ng baterya nun or pag waste na yung battery at dead bat na siya, delikado siya sa lupa, sa tubig kasi nako-contaminate ito at namamatay yung nutrients ito. So, what do you think will be the best way for us to handle this problem? Ayun lang po, Sir Alec.
All right. Thank you for that wonderful question, Sir Ferrer. So I believe the floor is open to your answers. Sir James, Miss L, who wants to go first? Let's have Sir James this time to go answer that first.
Hindi ko kasi mag-guess. Ano ba yung pinaka-gist ng tanong niya ni Ferrer? Sir Ferrer.
He's asking for...
Paki-summarize.
Ayan, yan. Sige.
Yung pinaka-gist of my question is, ano yung best way para gawin doon sa problem ng lithium battery na natatambak sa atin? Kasi hindi natin siya napapadala, natatambak dito sa atin, nasisira yung mismong mga lupa, particularly yung Laguna. How can we handle this? Kasi alam naman natin yung Pilipinas, wala pang capabilities para magtayo ng recycling facilities.
Okay. Ito, public administration to Sir Alec, ha? So, guide mo dito. Okay. Bilang maano ko kaya na yung sagot yung ni Sir Pero na napakalalim ng tanong niya. No? Okay. Ayan, bilang isa rin din sa mga natin, no? Sa mga nasa kalsada natin, no? Or nagmamaneho mismo. I think malaki ang magiging factor ng mga local governments natin dito or LGUs mismo. Okay, sa factor na yan, no? Kasi kung nangyayari mismo sa Laguna yan or sa mga vicinities nila mismo, they have more responsibility within the jurisdiction na pakialaman mismo yan, no? Ngayon kung hindi nila magawa mismo na tanggalin yung mga yan, no? Papasok din sa si DILG mismo, no? Or yung Department of Interior and Local Government natin. Okay, na kinakailangan na mag-intervene dito mismo ni national government. I think Grace Poe last election ng 2016, okay, ito yung isa sa mga one of the proposals ni Grace Poe mismo para mas maging maayos mismo yung local government ng Pilipinas mismo, sabi niya magkaroon dapat ng more devolution mismo sa local government. Yung devolution mismo is allocation more power mismo sa local government natin. Okay, so it's not actually a full transition to federalism na sinasabi natin ngayon na ginagawa ngayon sa Kamara natin. Okay, but it's one way of answering questions further na mas maging decentralized yung authority and power since hindi nga kaya ma-monitor ng maayos ng national government mismo yung mga leak na yan mismo. Okay. Ayan. Pero again and again, that's one of the problems here in the Philippines, no? Okay, marami tayong mga magagandang batas, mga programa sa bawat local government, sa bawat bansa natin. Ang nagiging problema mismo ay yung policy implementation mismo sa bansa natin. So, hindi siya na-observe ng ng maayos. Kung titingin tayo sa datos ng Rule of Law Index, no, ng Rule of Law Index, yung Rule of Law Index mismo, ito mismo yung isang datos, no, or survey mismo ng buong mundo na kung saan sinusukat mismo yung kapasidad ng isang bansa mismo na masukat mismo yung simpleng pagsunod lamang sa batas, no, okay, na ginagawa sa bansa natin. And unfortunately, no, sa gauge, no, ng Rule of Law Index na namumula-mula ay yung natin, yung ranking ng Pilipinas, indication na hindi maayos ang observation ng batas sa atin, okay? Hindi lang dahil sa pag-violate mismo ng mga iba't ibang simpleng mamamayan, but even also the person in authority, okay? Sila din mismo hindi nila kayang i-observe mismo yung yung kanilang mga policies mismo. Kaya din yung mga bagay na kagaya na yan, yung mga simpleng pag-leak lang ng mga baterya mismo, hindi nagagawang matugunan mismo ng local government. Okay? Ngayon, sa part naman natin, kung lalayo naman tayo ng konti sa government natin, sa central government natin, yung magiging contribution ng mga mamamayan dyan, okay, sa nangyayari sa ganyang problema na napakasimple lang pero napakalaki ng epekto sa environment natin. Okay? Ang pinakamagiging input ng mga tao diyan mismo is yung paggamit nila ng maayos mismo sa kanilang suffrage mismo. Okay, yung capacity nila mismo sa pagboto, no. Tamang pagpili lang ng bawat individual na uupo sa pwesto mismo. Okay, sobrang sapat na 'yun para makita mismo yung mga problema na. Kasi one of the factors kung bakit hindi nakikita yung mga ganyang problema mismo kasi yung ibang individual na nakaupo mismo sa pwesto, may mga ibang bagay sila na tinitingnan mismo dito sa lipunan natin. Okay? At sa paanong paraan na makakapagboto ng maayos yung isang individual, diyan din papasok of course yung role mismo naming mga educator mismo. Okay, na yung role naming mga educator mismo na enlighten mismo or increase mismo yung kaalaman ng mga estudyante mismo sa pampolitika. So that kung maging registered voter sila, no, makapili sila ng mas appropriate, no, mas aakma na leader mismo ng bawat local government mismo. Okay. Yun lang.
Right. Well said, Sir James. So, just to second yung last point ni Sir James, no, it's important for us to actually choose wisely kung sino yung ating iboboto. Okay? At saka alamin natin talaga yung track record ng ating iboboto. I will be blatant here. No, isa sa plataforma ni President Bongbong Marcos is renewable energy. But up until now, there is no movement in terms of that, no, yung investment niya ng malalaking batteries, no, solar panel, magiging charge, etc. It's all talk until now. So, the point here, yung sagot ni Sir James is highly political, no, decentralization, localization of powers and all. I'll give an economic perspective na lang din siguro regarding that. Diba? O, napag-usapan natin si nuclear kanina. Nuclear is very expensive. No, why would we prioritize nuclear energy if we can prioritize investing into the science of having a facility that recycles lithium batteries instead? Okay? Kasi kapag hindi natin na-recycle ang lithium batteries, kahit na tayo ay maging sustainable in terms of renewable resources, ano ang mangyayari sa atin? Ang mangyayari sa atin, we would just be mining and mining until hanggang ma-exhaust na natin lahat ng resources para lang meron tayong rechargeable or meron tayong battery na renewable energy source. It is counterintuitive with the idea of renewable energy. No, hindi siya sustainable. So yun yung masasabi ko diyan. Okay? So it's good that we have that certain kind of initiative and it's very informative yung sinabi sa atin ni Sir Ferrer, no? And to answer that right now, it means it needs for us to have scientific investment on scientific knowledge and of course economic policies na magpa-prioritize doon. no, doon natin ilagay investment natin. O yun pala, magandang investment pala yun, recycling ng ano, kahit pala Japan nahihirapan doon ngayon. O why not invest on that? Malay ninyo yung scientist natin na makahanap ng technology that would recycle it more efficiently and we can actually sell them to other nations. That's a possibility. The question is our administration ready for that? Yun yung sinasabi ni Sir James Buhama. And it is actually a reflection of what Filipinos chose in terms of who handles the finances. Yes, Sir James.
Tawagan ko lang yan, ang ganda ng point mo dun sa bandang huli, no? Kasi yung klase ng lipunan na ginagalawan natin ngayon, net more investment on researchers, etc. and scientists. Marami tayong magagaling na scientists and researchers actually. Pero yun nga lang, nabubuhay kasi tayo sa lipunan na kung saan napaka-anti-intellectualist ng lipunan natin. Na kung saan ang mga researcher mismo at ang mga eksperto mismo ay kine-question mismo yung credibility nila, no? Sa lengguwahe ng psikolohiya, no, or psychology, nagkakaroon ng tao mismo ng tinatawag na Dunning-Kruger effect na kahit hindi naman sila eksperto mismo ay dinidiscredit nila mismo yung mga eksperto mismo. Nangyari yan sa pandemic mismo, no? Na instead na makapag-allocate ng maayos sa proper na paggawa ng ating mga bakuna mismo, bawa na naman ng pandemya mismo, gumagawa ang mga UP expert natin, okay, mas tumutok tayo sa mga vaccine mismo na ginawa mismo ng mga iba't ibang bansa, no? Kagaya ng Sinovac, etc. So proper investment on research and development and proper changing ng mentality ng mga tao ngayon when it comes to experts, no? May napakahalagang bagay nun mismo sa sa takbo mismo ng natin ng sistema. Ilang.
Right. So thank you very much for that wonderful question. So baka next time si Sir Ferrer ay ma-invite din natin as speaker, no? Diba? Right.
Na sir. Kinakabahan mo.
Okay, at this point, I just want to thank everyone who participated our discussion. Special thanks to, of course, to our speakers, Sir James Buhama, Miss Leslie Villanueva. And now let us move to the evaluation link. Okay, so please fill out our evaluation. Okay, asan na yung ating link? And it's being shared na. So for you to get your certificate, we ask you to fill it out. No, pakiayos, make sure lang, no, ito lang, participants, no, make sure that your email is correct. Okay, am I the only one who's not seeing the screen?
May nakikita, sir.
Alright. Meron lang siguro tayong konting technical difficulties about it. Right? Yan. Okay. Can you also put the link in the chat box? Alright. Right. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so again, please fill out our evaluation and your e-certificate would be immediately sent to your email, to the email that you have filled it out. Okay, with that, we officially close this evening. Thank you for participating to our teach-in. I want to thank especially the International Studies Society for partnering with us with this event. Hopefully, you have learned many things. Okay, so before we go, may I ask all of you to open your cameras for our photo op? Okay, open cam tayo saglit lang po para sa ating picturean. And so I'm seeing na yung mga open. Yung iba dito dati ko student, no. Buti nandito kayo ngayon.
Dati rin akong student eh.
Segue ko lang, no, since na formal close naman na natin yung we will be having, the Worldwide Teach in Philippines will be having an invitational leadership, climate leadership summit. This would be on April 30. Okay, there is no publications about it yet, no, wala pa tayong materials about it. But soon, ipopost namin yan. Well, the participants would be through invitation. No, I've been in coordination with many professors, and if you have been invited, hopefully makasama kayo. I believe marami dito, no, may invite dyan. Okay. Anyway, let's have our photo op. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, that's for the first